is Adelaide's FIVEaa.
Becoming windy and partly cloudy, 30 today. With the 6 o'clock news, I'm Mel Usher.
The X in Physio Extra stands for extra time, extra care, extra convenience. With 6 locations. Visit physioextra.com.
The list of COVID exposure sites in SA is growing as the number of positive truckies who've recently passed through jumps to 5. The latest locations were visited on either Monday or Wednesday this week, or both. They are Highway Truck Accessories and the BP at Wingfield, the Coles Express at Tailem Bend and the Pinaroo OTR. Times can be found on the SA Health website. All require immediate quarantine and a COVID test. There are also concerns about traces of the virus detected in wastewater north and south of the city. The results of retesting are expected today. The new threat of COVID in SA has truck drivers who crisscross borders in the spotlight. There are calls for all truckies to be vaccinated as soon as possible. But it's feared hundreds of drivers could slam the brakes on freight if vaccinations become compulsory. The SA Transport Association's Steve Shearer says a mandate would result in a shortage of drivers.
If a significant percentage of truck drivers, just like the rest of the community, refuse to be vaccinated, which is their right, we can't just go out and find 10 to 15% of new drivers and replace the ones that we've lost. It can't happen that fast, and that would mean the freight won't arrive and you'll go to the shop and you won't be able to get things that you need or want.
Australia Post is pausing collections for customers and retailers in Victoria, New South Wales and the ACT for 4 days in an effort to clear a record backlog of parcels. It will apply to all parcel post collections from 7 a.m. this Saturday to Tuesday. There are currently 500 Australia Post staff in COVID self-isolation. There are concerns about a lack of empathy or technical knowledge among National Disability Insurance Scheme assessors. That's according to a new survey on the scheme. Many participants say too many decisions have been made by people without the technical or non-technical skills to effectively do their job. The US Defence Secretary is defending their withdrawal from Afghanistan as the Taliban regime officially takes over. Lloyd Austin argues the choice was either to leave the country after 20 years or escalate the conflict. The terror group took charge of Kabul's airport as American troops flew out of the country with citizens and Afghan visa holders. Mr. Austin says their departure was an historic moment.
They were operating in an immensely dangerous and dynamic environment. But our troops were tireless, fearless, and selfless. Our commanders never flinched, and our allies and partners were extraordinary.
New restrictions on abortions come into effect in the US state of Texas today. Nine's Michael Genovese has the story.
President Joe Biden has labelled the law outrageous. It allows any private citizen in Texas to sue a doctor who performs an abortion beyond the 6-week mark in a pregnancy. Family and friends who help arrange the procedure can also be sued.
It is incentivizing bounty hunters to go out and find people who are performing abortions.
Opponents say the change will outlaw 85% of abortions in Texas.
And the need for speed at the box office continues to be impacted by the pandemic. Top Gun 2 has been pushed back again from November to May 2022. Now to FIVEaa Sport.
You could win millions with the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. Visit homelottery.com.au.
Brisbane's Harris Andrews is desperate to find his best form for Saturday night's semi-final against the Western Bulldogs. The former All-Australian was well below his best against Melbourne last weekend. Coach Chris Fagan says Andrews wasn't the only player down.
And the debate this week has been to whether or not to go with 2 tall forwards or 3 tall forwards as we usually do. So we haven't quite decided yet. I suppose the only advantage to that is there may be an element of surprise.
Alexei Popyrin is the first Australian to book their place in the third round with a win over the 15th seed at the US Open. Nine's Craig Gabriel reports from New York.
When they met earlier this year in Melbourne, Grigor Dimitrov scored a 3-set win over Popyrin, but the Sydney player has turned the tables on the Bulgarian and upset the 15th seed 7-6, 7-6, 4-love, retired to reach the third round of the Open for the second year in a row. Dimitrov had received treatment on his left foot. Also moving through so far today was Simona Halep, Garbine Muguruza and Vika Azarenka.
And Dylan Alcott and Heath Davidson have gone down in the gold medal match of the quad wheelchair tennis doubles at the Paralympics. That's FIVEaa Sport. Now the forecast.
Head to Foodland, Drake's or IGA for Nutrimate, a new dog roll loaded with healthy nutrients.
Becoming windy, partly cloudy and 30 today, then early rain tomorrow 16, Saturday a shower or two, also 16. Right now it's 23 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Most people I know think that I'm crazy.
Don't miss Olympic Industries Whatever the Weather sale on now. Visit olympicindustries.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
6 after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Thursday on 5AA Breakfast. Today's the warm one, albeit if you've gone outside already, the wind's picking up. It's a strange sort of a feeling out there at the moment. Strange too for the fact that it's, as you've just heard, 22.8 degrees outside. So feels warm and nice. It's going to hit a top of 30, but there are elements that suggest that storms are very much on the way. Also on the way this morning on 5AA Breakfast, Matt Abraham will be on the show. We'll dissect the spin of the last 7 days. The Premier of South Australia will join us to talk about South Australia's latest COVID scare. A couple more truckies have traversed the state whilst infectious. Then after 8 o'clock, we'll talk swooping magpies. With spring and the warmer weather comes the swooping magpie, so we'll have a chat about that after 8 o'clock today. And of course, we enjoy talking with you, 8223 0000, or text us on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line. David Penberthy, good morning.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, listeners. It's quite a coup getting Premier Stephen Marshall on the program this morning because as things currently stand, he is the only Premier in Australia, and I put an asterisk next to poor old Peter Goodwin in the Tasmanian Premier who's recovering from illness, so he's not actually on deck at the moment. But Steve Marshall's the only mainland Premier who is currently sticking to the federally agreed to national cabinet blueprint out of lockdown, following the Doherty modelling. I don't know what the hell is going on with the rest of the premiers, but it's in the absence of any discernible health advice, they have all just gone off on their own mad tangent yesterday. And frankly, I hate to start the show like this, but hearing their divergent views, Anastasia Palaszczuk saying, no, she now thinks that we can't open up the state until every single child has been vaccinated.
Yep.
You've got Mark McGowan saying that the federal government is on a mission to bring COVID into Western Australia to infect the Western Australian public. Dan Andrews is all over the shop. He's admitted that...
I think he's coming around, Dan Andrews.
Well, he is a bit. He's saying, well, we're not going to get the numbers down.
He's acknowledged that they're not going to get to zero.
Well, that is
it's a significant step for that
government. Penny dropping.
Yeah, it's a big penny dropping moment. So,
but
let's work through it.
There's no clarity out of Victoria about what they think about coming out.
No, there's not. They're taking baby steps because they're walking back a position that has been well established after over 200 days of lockdown of, they'll do whatever it takes to get to zero. So I think it's going to be a slow process, at least in the rhetoric, for them to start acknowledging that we're not doing that. But it's happening because they're doing things like, we're reopening the playgrounds now. And people at the press conference said yesterday, well, why couldn't you have done that 2 weeks ago? Well, the reality is it's taken them a couple of weeks to acknowledge that they're never getting back to zero. So they've got to do some things that they weren't previously considering. So Queensland and WA are clearly holdouts. They are anti-Doherty, not interested. Okay. New South Wales seems to be prepared to go further and faster than Doherty. So Gladys Berejiklian yesterday...
What about with the children angle, though?
What, New South Wales?
Yeah. What's she saying now about kids?
Yeah, but she's also saying they're going to be welcoming thousands of international visitors and allowing international travel by December.
Yeah, but at the same time, how can she be putting a big sort of question mark over it, saying this is on the proviso that kids get vaccinated?
Well,
and what does that mean to it all?
Everything I watched Berejiklian say yesterday at the press conference was about 70% being the magical marker. Where Doherty's kind of talking about 80%.
She got her own numbers, has she?
I think she's got her own numbers. So they're talking about 70% being when dining returns to normal, which is again a very different picture from other places. You got Victoria seem to be slowly coming along on that path, and we're sticking to the orthodox version of the advice. Be nice if we had some sort of idea of it'd be good if we all got together and formed a country, wouldn't it?
But this is where they're lying when they say this is all about the science. None of what happened yesterday was about science. All about politics. And I just don't know how we ever get out of this mess with these people being so poll-driven and such egomaniacs, so controlling.
Yep. Yeah, look, I think 100% part of it's politics, certainly in the places that hold outs, because it is the easiest political sell in the world. Well, we're the ones protecting you against COVID. So what does that make everyone else? Like, that is the easiest political messaging in the world. It's scary, makes you the good guy. Like, that's politics. Some of the other stuff, I actually think the reality probably is, and this is difficult for us all to get our heads around, given how we've treated the magical words, the medical advice, for the last 18 months. But so the science probably isn't settled on a lot of this stuff. Different countries have done it different ways overseas and had varying degrees of success.
Yeah.
We don't have a wealth of pandemic information to draw upon in recent history. We're learning a lot of this stuff as we go. And I'm sure there are some doctors that have a Doherty Institute view, and there are some that would have a completely different view of what's an acceptable level of risk.
I think one of the most interesting things that's happened in a media sense, and insofar as the media is reflective of public opinion and certain groups of people, there's an editorial today in the Melbourne Age newspaper, the editorial being the official newspaper's editorial, which these days is one of the least read parts of the paper. This editorial, though, represents like a totally seismic shift in Victorian thinking, because the Age is the most, it's often like, I think, pathetically pro-Labor. It's basically the Bible of everyone who lives in Brunswick and Carlton and all the trendy sort of, latte-fueled inner suburbs of Melbourne. The editorial today says Victoria cannot go on like this. That the Andrews government has to stop being deceitful and dishonest about things like the mental health impact on young people, the full nature of the impact on business. It has to release all the health modelling that inform things like closing playgrounds and forcing people to live under a martial law style curfew. But the bottom line of the editorial is, stuff this for a joke. This has got to stop. And for the Age, I mean, this would be like Four Corners doing a documentary about how how News Corporation's done an excellent job over the years keeping governments on their toes. This is a drop your latte moment in Melbourne. The Melbourne Age is telling Dan Andrews, mate, you've had your fun.
I honestly I reckon, my reading between the lines sense is that senior members of the Andrews government are probably there. But the problem is, political rhetoric has a turning circle of a battleship. And so it's a slow now walk back to get to a point of where people like that editorial want their policy position to be. They'll get there, I think, but they're going to meander their way through it. 13 after 6, 8223 0000 is the number. You can text us on the Telstra Store Matt Barker text line. We've got some news headlines for you coming up right after this.
Great business starts when you're in control. With the Optus Business Connect plan, get up to 8 SIMs and up to 300 gig of data, all on one simple plan. Great business starts with yes. Explore the Optus Business Connect plan in-store or online today. T's and C's apply.
G'day, it's Merv Hughes here. After years of snoring like a train, the missus sent me for a CPAP Direct sleep test. I'm sleeping quiet and waking up refreshed.
CPAP Direct, now open at 600 Port Road, Allenby Gardens. From sleep studies to the latest CPAP gear at Adelaide's best prices. Sale on now. Veterans also welcome.
Find your local store at cpap.com.au.
Well, the wait is over. Glenelg BMW is now open on Brighton Road from the multi-award-winning team at Dave Potter. At the same location on Brighton Road, same great spot, you can now find them. They're just called Glenelg BMW. So be sure to drop in, speak to the team, book your test drive today, and have fun with the range of new and demonstrated BMWs they've got available. And the news just keeps getting better too. What you can do if you've currently got a BMW is book in for a service at Glenelg BMW Service Centre. And here's the thing they offer that others don't. They'll be able to look after you with next day availability. There's no wait time. There's no month-long process that you have to go through. They have next day availability. Glenelg BMW has arrived at one of the oldest and most awarded dealerships in SA. Visit glenelgbmw.com.au or drop in and see the team at 141 Brighton Road.
Exclusive to Adelaide.
Round the corner.
3 of Australia's finest live on stage.
Been back the night.
Anthony Warlow, Kate Sobrano and David Campbell in The Ultimate Event. Performing alone and together with a 50-piece orchestra and 9-piece band, Adelaide, this really is the ultimate event. One night only, October 23, reserved seating at the Village Green, Adelaide Oval. Book now at Ticketek.
Where can you see Craig Lowndes, 7 times Bathurst winner, race a historic Formula One car? The Bend Classic. September 4th and 5th at the Bend Motorsport Park. Featuring some of the fastest and most exotic cars on the planet, including a collection of classic Formula One cars, iconic sports cars and the wildest hypercars. What better way to celebrate Father's Day than at the Bend Classic? Tickets start from only $10 and kids 14 and under are free. Visit thebend.com.au for special offers.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
For verandas, sheds, garages or carports, don't miss Olympic Industries Whatever the Weather sale on now. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
7 minutes after 6 news headlines in just a moment. First, Ange in Kidman Park's called in. Morning, Ange.
Morning, guys. How are you?
Good,
Good, thanks, Ange.
I don't know if you guys are heard anything, but it's pretty hush-hush over in America. So Carnival Cruise Lines have started cruising out of America again. So you had to have a COVID passport to get onto the boat, and it was all exciting and everything. But what they haven't said is that this one boat at the moment has got about 300 COVID cases on it, and 4 people have died. But you haven't heard anything because they've gone in so quick with these cruises, and most of the COVID positive tests have come from the crewmen.
Is that right? Their mentality, though, on positive tests is totally different to ours. Like, that's not the for people in the US, that's not the newsworthy part of that story. I reckon there'd be a lot of people that say, well, the deaths are from people that probably didn't get vaccinated. The attitude is so different in other parts of the world from here.
But on the cruise ships, you had to have a COVID passport. You could not go on this cruise ship unless you've had both
right.
your COVID shots. Yes.
Well, that changes the complexion of things.
Yeah,
it does. You know, but I've just gone in too early, guys. You know,
yeah.
I'm so happy I'm in South Australia.
Yeah.
Well,
aren't we all?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, that is a really odd situation. Thank you for that, Ange. Wasn't aware of that in the cruise ships out of the United States. It's interesting that all the places with that have measures by which you're allowed to travel. The EU has a system whereby they determine whether countries are safe to travel to or not based on how many new cases per 100,000 people they have. And the threshold's something like 75, which by that threshold, Australia's not a safe place to travel to at the moment. I think we've got just over 200. But they've recently scratched the US off their safe to travel to list because they're over 300 new cases per 100,000 people.
Overwhelmingly, they're the people who think that, to quote the great placard you see at so many of those rallies in the States, I've been vaccinated by the blood of Jesus, or I don't do this because I never do what the government tells me to do. It's all, that's all right. It's not the government telling you what to do. It's the coronavirus saying, hey, here's someone I can infect because they're not vaccinated. And send them to the ICU.
I do think there's something in the refrain about, you know, if your saviour will protect you from the COVID, why do you need guns?
Yeah, well, that's right. Exactly. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, I wonder about that.
Yeah, surely the power of the Almighty can protect you from, you know, home invaders or road rages, whatever it is.
Maybe
makes you think you need a vast cache of weapons in your cellar or your bedside.
More medical ailments is his thing. Now, from the front of the Tiser today, the federal government is urging Australians over 60 to get vaccinated with the AstraZeneca jab, or they'll end up at the back of the queue when Pfizer stocks ramp up. Scott Morrison, Health Minister Greg Hunt, and Australia's Chief Medical Officer Paul Kelly will next week send a letter to 586,713 people aged between 60 and 69 who are yet to be vaccinated, urging them to take action. The letter will note people over 60 have a greatly increased risk of getting severe disease with COVID-19 and must be vaccinated as soon as possible.
Well, I've taken it. Matt Abraham's taken it. We're still upright. He'll be on the show later on.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, from what I've heard, I think he's coming in.
I'm in later today.
Hey?
I'm in later today.
For Pfizer?
Yep.
For number one?
Number one.
Yeah, right.
I'm underway.
My daughter had hers 3 days ago.
She's
still
fine?
Good? Yeah. No dramas at all.
Microwave still works. You can still get internet and Wi-Fi and stuff at home.
Absolutely, yep. No, it hasn't interfered with the signal.
We'd like to hear that. More COVID exposure sites were identified overnight as health authorities tracked the movements of 5 positive truckies who recently passed through our state. 2 of the additional locations are in the metro area at Wingfield and Edwardstown, along with servos at Tailem Bend and Pinaroo. Hundreds of people have been ordered into quarantine, with more expected. The Premier will be on to talk more about that after 7 o'clock today. Meanwhile, in Melbourne, they're on track to break the world record for the number of days spent in hard lockdown. This is not a record that you want, frankly. By the 23rd of this month, the city would have notched up its 235th day under stay-at-home orders. Here's Premier Daniel Andrews.
This is bloody tough. It's very, very tough. I don't expect anyone to be happy about this.
Over in the US, they continue to defend the withdrawal from Afghanistan as the Taliban regime officially takes over. Lloyd Austin argues the choice was either to leave the country after 20 years or escalate the conflict. The terror group took charge of Kabul's airport as American troops flew out of the country with citizens and Afghan visa holders left behind.
They were operating in an immensely dangerous and dynamic environment, but our troops were tireless, fearless, and selfless. Our commanders never flinched, and our allies and partners were extraordinary.
Did you see the story about how one of the guys who helped save Biden and John Kerry when they got stuck in Afghanistan? He's now there and he's issued a plea saying, I can't get out. I'm the guy who saved the man who's now president, and America's done nothing to help me get out of the country. He's well known for actively helping Joe Biden during the war, and now he's stuck there, and America said, that's it, we're done, we're out.
Great success, according to Joe Biden.
You know what was really interesting, and I'll mention them again, the much maligned Fox News network in America. They just did this series of really interesting Vox Pops last night, and all these, hick towns in Virginia, where they were going into these diners talking to servicemen about how they felt. And it was amazing how candid. Americans usually lay it on with a trail about how great and strong and powerful America is. And all these guys are just sitting around in these cafes going, my dad was in Vietnam, I was in Afghanistan, my brother was in Afghanistan, and we're just sitting here now going, what do we do with our lives? Why did we do this? What was the point?
Yeah.
The whole thing was pointless. This is and quite rare to see Americans having a conversation like that where they're saying, are we pathetic? Incredible.
You know, it's really dangerous for Joe Biden at the moment, the US, in a political sense, is the people that have known him in the past now coming out and going, I don't know who this bloke is. Speaking to his level of deterioration. Saying, I met him and he was one of the most impressive people, supporters and former colleagues going, he was sharp. And when he speaks now, it's like it's a different person.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's about, sometimes, it's not the real Julia. It's not the process of politically manufacturing a persona. It's because...
He hasn't done it for a focus group.
He hasn't done it for a focus group.
This is a physiological thing.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Which is really frightening. Right now, it's 22.9 outside in Adelaide. We're just behind Darwin in terms of the warmest mainland capital cities this morning. The top today is going to be 30, but it gets windy later on, northeasterly from 35 to 50 k's an hour. It becomes a northwesterly in the late afternoon, 30 to 40 k's an hour. Doesn't look like we'll get the rain that we suspected we might yesterday, nor the thunderstorm. So it'll just be hot and blustery today because there is a cool change coming and possibly up to 8 mils of rain tomorrow. Top of 16. Same for Saturday and Sunday. A little drizzly, but really nothing to write home about. Monday will be 17 and much the same. It gets sunny on Tuesday, and Wednesday next week starts to speak to a possibly nice end of that week, up to 20 on Wednesday and sunny. 24 after 6, we'll talk sport in a moment.
5AA's Business Lounge with Leith Forrest.
So in the Business Lounge today, I'm joined by an inspirational man who is a big fan of Arbor Vitae. Welcome, Peter Wilson.
G'day, Leith.
Hey, I know you've been using Arbor Vitae since 2018. Tell us about it.
It has completely changed my life. It's like liquid gold to me. My joint pain has completely disappeared. My mobility is so much better, and the reduction in inflammation is amazing.
And your mobility has returned. It's given you your life back, and I believe you've ticked off some big things on your bucket list.
Well and truly, the challenge of walking to the top of Mount Kosciuszko, the highest mountain top of Australia. It was a challenge that prior to Arbor Vitae was literally a dream. There was no way that in my 50s I would have entertained the thought had it not been for Arbor Vitae.
Peter, that is amazing. I'm so glad that Arbor Vitae has given you back your life. Arbor Vitae is available in chemists and health food stores all over Adelaide. For a full list of stockists or to buy online direct, go to arborvitae.com.au, or you can give the Arbor Vitae team a call on 1300 879 863. Remember, always follow the directions for use. This medicine may not be right for you. Read the label before purchase. If symptoms persist, talk to your health professional. For more information, visit arborvitae.com.au. That's arborvitae.com.au.
The Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery has been changing lives for 18 years. Now, we've taken it to a whole new level with a $3 million grand prize. A Scott Salisbury home on the Esplanade. If there's a home you want to win this year, it's this one. With $1 million in bonus prizes and $1 million early bird prize. There's more big winners than ever before. Join the fight. homelottery.com.au. Licence M14053.
Now, this Saturday is Super Saturday at your local Cheapest Chips, and you know what that means. Oh, my golly, yes. Loads of awesome goods and amazing value.
Absolutely. And how's this for Cheapest Chips? You can pick up a 32-inch Ultra HD TV for just $279. That's $20 off.
$279 for a 32-inch television. That is pretty good. And listen up, hirsute chaps. If there's a hairy man in your life and partners of hairy chaps, or you're the hairy man, Cheapest Chips have got a
David, just to interrupt you there, I think they prefer to be referred to as hairy persons.
Okay, of course. Yeah, well, that's right. Because, you know, they've been... It's not like men have got a monopoly on this sort of stuff. Exactly. Cheapest Chips. Anyone who wants to groom themselves of any persuasion, the fantastic Brunetti number 5, that's the brand name. It's a cordless grooming kit. $19.
The Brunetti 5 is sort of, you know... That's your Ferrari of of personal
You shave
grooming.
anything with that.
Oh, you
So it's $19. That's a saving of $16, almost half price.
That's phenomenal stuff. What about a full HD dash cam to catch the unexpected? They're just $39. It's save 10. If you put all this together, you've got a wonderful home TV package where you can watch what you've captured out on the road whilst being totally hairless.
That's right.
And there's a whopping 30% off all winter clothing and accessories.
I don't know about you, but that's my Friday night sorted out right there. There's plenty more Super Saturday deals. Just check the back page of this week's Cheapest Chips catalogue, or check them out at your local Cheapest Chips this Saturday.
The new BT50 Ute is finally here at Paradise Mazda, and it's worth the wait. The BT50's all-new drivetrain and engine has been engineered for toughness and reliability. With an array of driver assist technologies and the most advanced Mazda BT50 safety features ever, the new BT50 is the complete package. So get in and be one of the first to test drive the all-new Mazda BT50 at Paradise Mazda. The Mazda people. 738 Lower North East Road, Paradise. LVD 1370.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. Don't miss Olympic Industries whatever the weather sale on now. Visit olympicindustries.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
29 minutes after 6, Andy Rizin is in the studio with us to talk sport on this Thursday morning. Win a $3 million grand prize on South Brighton Esplanade with the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. Andrew wants to win it. We jinxed it with Can You Feel It the other day.
I think that's good news for me. A bit of tennis news overnight. Alexei Popyrin, big win over Grigor Dimitrov, 7-6, 7-6, 4-love. Dimitrov pulled out. I wanted to do a bit of a happy trail segment this morning, guys.
Yep.
Joel Cross is retiring.
Your man.
South Adelaide legend. And probably epitomises that level of player who are probably not quite AFL standard but completely dominate in the State League. How many current day players would be on a mural outside of the stadium?
I think that's I saw you tweet about this yesterday.
Yeah.
I think it's a great point. Not too many people get the statue made while they're still playing or painted on the side of the building.
It's a pretty big honour there down at Colonnades. I've done an impromptu Andy's list of the best 5 South Adelaide players of all time. Now, I've gone really far back here, so I'm relying on accounts because obviously I wasn't alive 100 years ago and watching the Panthers. Although it's probably a better time to be a Panthers fan 100 years ago.
They won a couple of flags back then.
I've got number 5, Mike Nailey. You'll know that name. He played throughout the 80s. He won a McGuire medal, All-Australian twice, also played for Carlton. David Cantilla, number 4. He played in the 60s.
Oh, yeah.
He won the
Indigenous
flag.
bloke.
Apparently one of the great all-time Indigenous players.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Apparently he's an absolute legend of a player.
Joel Cross, I've put him at number 3, the retiring Joel Cross. 204 games, 2 McGuire medals, 2012, 2015. He joins the likes of McIntosh and Jarman with 2 McGuire medals. It's pretty good company to be in. Number 2, Jimmy Dean, the great centre and namesake of the Pokies Bar down there at South Adelaide. He won 2 McGuire medals, kind of post-World War II. Runner-up 3 times in the McGuire medal. So that's pretty big honour. 6 Panthers best and fairest. I'm going all the way back to 1919. Dan Moriarty, centre-half back. Now, have a listen to this rap sheet. In the 6 years he played, 3 McGuire medals, 19, 20 and 21. Only Russell Ebert's won more. Australian Football Hall of Fame, Australian Sport Hall of Fame, SA Football Hall of Fame, South Adelaide Hall of Fame. Apparently, a lot of people have said he's the greatest centre-half back they've ever seen play, and the best South Aussie in that between the war period. So
I think you know,
this is good.
Reevaluating interwar footballers is something that doesn't get done enough when we talk about greatest of all time lists. So I'm glad you've started the debate.
Well, I mean, I don't know if anyone is listening that was alive watching Dan Moriarty play in the 1921 season. They would be
very
significantly
old. They'd be in the Guinness Book of Records if they could remember.
But going by counts, he's the Panthers' GOAT.
That is magnificent work, Andy. Good stuff. You could win millions with the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. Visit homelottery.com.au.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Becoming windy, partly cloudy and 30 today. With the 6:30 news, I'm Mel Usher.
Woken with a stiff neck or sore back? Get a Physio Extra appointment today. 6 locations, physioextra.com.
As the list of COVID-positive truckies who visited SA grows, so does the number of exposure sites. Contact tracers identified 4 more overnight: Highway Truck Accessories and the BP at Wingfield, along with the Coles Express at Tailem Bend and Pinaroo OTR. The dates and times are on the SA Health website. A total of 5 infected truckies have now passed through SA in recent weeks. The growing threat of an outbreak has prompted a rush on local vaccination appointments. Queensland health authorities are on high alert after a truck driver from New South Wales tested positive to COVID-19. The growing number of COVID scares linked to truckies has many calling for the industry to impose mandatory vaccinations. The state transport sector says it could lose hundreds of truck drivers if that was the direction. The SA Transport Association's Steve Shearer adding it would have detrimental impacts on the community and economy.
We're doing everything we can and will continue to encourage all of them to be vaccinated. But even if we get 90%, if the 10% who aren't vaccinated are not allowed to enter the state, and if we can't replace those drivers in sufficient numbers, that means our state economy and the community itself will suffer.
Australians over 60 are being urged by the Prime Minister to get the AstraZeneca vaccine now or end up at the back of the queue when Pfizer supplies ramp up. It comes as medical experts consider whether to cut the time between AstraZeneca doses in Victoria from 12 weeks to 6. The reductions were made in New South Wales to speed up the process. Travel agents are backing the proposal of having vaccine passports. National Cabinet will allow limited international flights to resume when the vaccination rate reaches 80%. Domestic airlines are also likely to insist on passengers being vaccinated. Travel Agents Federation board member Tom Manwaring says Australia can look to the experiences of other countries.
Sort of been tried and tested in the UK into Europe, Mediterranean, on the transatlantic, US into UK and Europe. So those trials are going on, which is fantastic for our country. There'll be a test bed. Singapore's already gone digital.
A top US military leader says it remains to be seen whether the Taliban has changed since it last ruled Afghanistan. American troops have withdrawn from the country after 20 years, a decision made by President Joe Biden which sparked fierce criticism. The Taliban says it wants to have good relations with the international community as it prepares to unveil a new Afghan government. Defence Secretary Lloyd Austin says there are lessons to be learned from the mission.
This department will look back clearly and professionally and learn every lesson that we can. That's our way.
Elton John has been busy despite COVID delaying his farewell tour. He's announced a new album called The Lockdown Sessions. Elton recorded the tracks with a string of famous friends like Stevie Nicks and Stevie Wonder via Zoom. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Win a $3 million grand prize on South Brighton Esplanade with the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery.
Port Adelaide are enjoying another day off before they turn their attention to next week's prelim final. They'll play the winner of Saturday night's blockbuster between Brisbane and the Western Bulldogs. Connor Rosie telling Rowie they're enjoying the break.
I think most of the boys have been out on the golf course the last couple of days. The weather's been really nice, so it's nice to get back to a little bit of normality and get out of the 3-day lockdown that we've had to do after most games. So it's just been nice to live normally, I guess.
Australia's added 4 medals to our medal tally in the pool at the Paralympics. Nine's Eddie Summerfield reports.
Sydney's Tim Hodge won his second Paralympic medal of the Games, a silver in the men's S9 200-metre individual medley. A trifecta of bronze preceded the silver, with Blake Cochran touching the wall third in the SB7 100 breaststroke. In the women's event, Tiffany Thomas-Kane narrowly missing a silver medal. Then surf lifesaver Thomas Gallagher, competing at his first Games, was third fastest in the men's S10 400 freestyle.
And in netball, Caitlin Bassett will miss upcoming matches against New Zealand and England after knee surgery. That's 5AA Sport. Now the 5AA forecast.
Head to Foodland, Drake's or IGA for Nutrimate, a new dog roll loaded with healthy nutrients.
Becoming windy, partly cloudy and 30 today, then dropping back to 16 tomorrow with early rain, 16 again on Saturday with a shower or two. Right now it's 23 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
For verandas, sheds, garages or carports, don't miss Olympic Industries Whatever the Weather sale on now. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
23 minutes to 7. We're going to talk a little bit later in the program about skyrocketing flights for Port fans that might want to get in early and try to book in to get to Perth for the grand final. You don't want to jinx anything, but also you don't want to be caught short if your team makes it and you weren't able to get a flight. Prices went from $400 from Perth to Adelaide to $1,600 around the grand final for that time.
Unbelievable.
We'll chat a bit more about that a little later. One of the people that won't be on a flight to the grand final is Eddie McGuire.
But obviously the AFL has essential people. Mr McGuire was not one of them.
That's WA Premier Mark McGowan ruling Eddie McGuire as non-essential. Eddie was chatting about it on his Triple M breakfast program and had this to say.
I'm disappointed because I think I could bring, as you said, a bit of fizz to the occasion and have some fun.
You could bring a bit of fizz to the occasion.
Now, look, okay, we're broadcasting here in South Australia, and it doesn't matter if you're a Port supporter or a Crow supporter. Overwhelmingly, we don't really like Eddie. We love to hate Eddie. We've had on-again, off-again stinks about, so-called feral Crows fans or...
Oh, and he's the face of the VFL.
He is. Oh, totally.
Look, frankly, if he was on with us, he'd say the same thing.
Yeah. So having said all that, knowing how much he's driven Port fans mad with his completely self-interested attacks on the prison bars jumper and what have you, I reckon Mark McGowan, in this case, is an absolute half-wit. I think it's a total disgrace that Eddie McGuire is not allowed to go to the AFL Grand Final. I wonder on what basis, if all this stuff's meant to be about the health advice. I mean, listen to some of these quotes from Mark McGowan yesterday. He's not happy. He wanted to come in. Unfortunately, Eddie can't come. He's not essential to the game, so he has to stay in Melbourne. Now, taking the personalities out of this, what you've got there is a politician, some hack politician. I don't know what McGowan did, what life experience he's got in the business sector or anything like that. But this bloke, he's just got the numbers from the factions. Has ended up, courtesy of having a totally hopeless opposition. He's won, 76 out of 78 available seats, and he's El Presidente. He's Il Duce. Well, he's acting like Il Duce on this, because how is it that a politician can say to someone who has devoted their life to working in the private sector and done extremely well, who is synonymous, rightly or wrongly, whether we like it or not as South Australians, synonymous with the game, is a broadcaster, again, whether we like it or not, but a huge figure on Channel 9. A lot of us here, even if it drives us mad, we watch Footy Classified. He was on last night. I watched 10 minutes of it and went, bugger this for a joke. I've heard enough from that blowhard. I'm going to watch a Rick Stein documentary, which is my normal go-to to protect my fragile sanity. But how is it that a state leader can say, no, this bloke's not coming. And then to stand there like such a card-carrying, what rhymes with anchor and make snide jokes about it. That's what Australia's become.
Well, the test will be who else is at the grand final. Who else? When they pan across the crowd.
Has Mark got his own private list of people who he thinks should go and shouldn't go?
Yeah.
Because the other thing is, McGuire's two sons who work they're like the guys holding the fluffy mics. The boom boys or whatever they are. They're production blokes in TV. They've been told they're not allowed to go either.
Are they, or was that Eddie's cheeky way to get them in?
I don't know. But the point is, how can someone who is just a politician not only have any influence as to who comes in and who doesn't, but then think that for base political, parochial, parish pump, pissant reasons that he can stand there gloating about it, and all of these sap journos in Perth go along with it. Like, they've all drunk the Kool-Aid. But what sort of country are we if this is the new normal?
Well, I'll tell you, we're not a country at all.
I think it's the most extraordinary thing. And the fact that I know our instinct as South Australians is to treat this as a sucked-in Eddie story. And sure, there's a bit of schadenfreude about it because Ed's driven us all mad over the years. Mark McGowan is off the leash dangerous doing things like this.
Bit of a tidbit out of Mel's News a moment ago. Elton John has been busy despite his farewell tour COVID's obviously been a big factor in how to put it on. He's announced a new album called The Lockdown Sessions. He recorded the tracks with a string of famous friends. Stevie Nicks is on it, Stevie Wonder's on it. Did it all via Zoom though. I don't know how Zoom holds up album-wise. Here's a little bit of him singing on the COVID concert from the start of the lockdown.
Looking like a true survivor, feeling like a little kid. I'm still standing after all the time.
Hence why I'm a little concerned about the Zoom. I mean, I'm putting that down to Zoom.
Yeah. I thought he just forgot to put his teeth in.
I'm sure.
I'm still standing.
I'm sure if it was in the traditional studio, you know what I mean? It'd be a very different acoustic environment as opposed to. No.
Let's cut out in some slack.
Yeah.
I was on 1.5 hours worth of Zoom on Tuesday night for parent-teacher night, and my ex-wife was on it too. So she was at her place, and I was with Jim, and there was the teacher. So we had 3 laptops going, and sorry, I spoke over the top of you. You couldn't hear a damn thing.
That's rubbish, isn't it?
Unbelievable. There's all this feedback because of the volume on George's laptop and then mine, and I'm texting her going, I think your volume's up too high. So I'm probably getting the impression I'm sort of completely over all of this.
I'm getting that strong sense.
Yeah.
I haven't had to be a mind reader. Someone's texted in relation to my query on the Telstra Stormont Barker text line, made the point Eddie gave a list of other journos from Melbourne that are allowed in. Someone saw his name and decided no. Well, let's give the health authorities their due. Maybe there is something peculiar about Eddie's biology that's more likely to convey and give COVID to other people.
Maybe Broadmeadows is a hotspot or something like that.
Maybe he's a super spreader.
Yeah. He's a super spreader of something. I'm just not sure if it's COVID.
Yeah. 16 to 7, let's check traffic. Is your BMW due for a service? Well, then book your service today at Glenelg BMW on Brighton Road.
Good morning. At Penfield Gardens, a car's gone into the barrier rail on the Northern Expressway near Penfield Road outbound. Regency Park got a 2-car collision on Regency Road and the North-South motorway with debris on the road. Crafers and Stirling expect delays in both directions on the freeway for work. Speeds are at 60 k's. Look out for cameras Frederick Road Grange, Hanson Road Elizabeth Downs and Marshall Terrace at Brooklyn Park. Sportsbet, bet with mates. Start your group, bet together, share the moment. Download the Sportsbet app today. Conditions apply. Gamble responsibly. 1800 858 858. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Look at the head on that. How did you become such a good home brewer? Easy. I just WEA'd it. Cheers. Cheers.
With new courses going up every week, you can WEA anything. wea-sa.com.au.
A notorious family business, the evil network behind our most famous unsolved murder, and the sting that unravelled it all. Don't miss the new 8-part series, Mafia's Web, out now at mafiasweb.com.au.
It isn't waste until you waste it. That's the catch cry from an amazing company called Eco Waste Solutions. Eco Waste Solutions is a hard waste recycling facility, not a dump, located at Williston. They'll take everything except hazardous waste and food scraps. They'll take your waste bricks, your mattresses, tyres, soil, timber, steel, concrete and more. Plus, if you pre-sort your load, you'll receive a 50% discount on disposal fees. Google Eco Waste Solutions Williston for more.
No one likes to wait, especially if you're waiting for something really amazing, like a new Mazda. Lucky, you won't have to wait too long at Mawson Lakes Mazda. Right now, you'll find new stock and demos right across the range, which means there's no compromise. You'll get everything you want and love in your new Mazda. Get behind the wheel of your dream Mazda sooner. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
There's an online shop that has everything for the home gardener to the landowner. It's agfert.com.au. You'll find over 5,000 items from the garden to the workshop, but the most valuable thing you'll receive from them is your weekend back. That's because Agfert will deliver to your door. Agfert is a family business putting in the hard yards for other SA families. And if you spend over $50 online, you could win a new Engel fridge. Go to agfert.com.au.
Great eye care starts with OPSM. Some of the most advanced technology in the industry.
We have innovative lenses for every lifestyle.
And a wide range of frames, fits and brands.
At OPSM, we're proud to have some of the most dedicated and passionate optometrists and team members in the business. Visit OPSM today to receive 20% off lenses and lens extras when purchased as part of a complete pair. Offer ends September 9. All health funds welcome. Further T's and C's apply. OPSM, life focused.
I want to start my own business, but I don't know where to start.
Why don't you WEA it? With new business courses going up every week, you can WEA anything. wea-sa.com.au.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
Don't miss Olympic Industries whatever the weather sale on now. Visit olympicindustries.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will
12
Goodings.
to 7. Let's check in with SAPOL. Senior Constable Christina Phillipson's on the line.
Good morning.
Morning to you, Christina. Now, there's been a stabbing at Birdwood. What happened?
Yeah, a man's been arrested after a serious domestic assault at Birdwood overnight. Police and paramedics were called to that Birdwood home about 11:10 p.m. by reports of a violent altercation. They found a 26-year-old man with a stab wound to the back. He was taken by ambulance to the Royal Adelaide Hospital, and his injuries are not believed to be life-threatening. The injured man's father, a 62-year-old Birdwood man, was arrested at the scene and charged with aggravated assault cause harm. And he was refused police bail and will appear in the Mount Barker Magistrates Court today. And South Australia Police encourage anyone who's experiencing family violence or has concerns for their safety or the safety of other family members or friends to contact police on 131 444 or 000 in an emergency.
Christina, also there's been an attempted aggravated robbery at Christie's Beach.
Yeah, that's right. A man's attempted to steal some bank cards, cash and keys from a victim at Christie's Beach overnight. That happened about 3:30 a.m. this morning. A woman was withdrawing cash at an ATM at Colonnades shopping centre there, and she was threatened by a man holding a large kitchen knife. The suspect demanded her car keys, cash and phone. The victim refused to hand over the items, and the suspect subsequently rummaged through the victim's unlocked vehicle. And the victim ran off, but she returned shortly after and managed to outsmart the suspect to gain entry to that vehicle and drive off to safety. And multiple Southern District patrols arrived at the scene and conducted a search with the assistance of police dog Judge, but the suspect wasn't found, and so investigations are continuing there. And that suspect is described as being of Caucasian appearance with blue eyes. He's wearing a grey hoodie with a zip, and he's got long black pants on. So anyone who has information about this incident is asked to call Crime Stoppers, and that number is 1800 333 000.
That's scary. Also, there was a ute fire at Davern Park.
Yeah, that's right. A ute was destroyed in a fire there, which officers believe to be the same make and model that rammed a patrol car at Smithfield in the early hours on Tuesday. Police were called to a new estate at Davern Park near the intersection of Lawson Street and Crafter Street by reports of that vehicle on fire about 2:30 a.m. The fire was extinguished by MFS crews and the ute was towed from the scene for forensic examination. And witnesses reported seeing another ute, a later model white tray-top ute with fat tyres, leaving the scene around the time of that fire. So again, anyone with information is asked to please call Crime Stoppers on that number, 1800 333 000.
Thank you for that, Christina. Senior Constable Christina Phillipson from SAPOL. Let's talk weather. Tom Bowick is the forecaster at the Bureau working this morning. Tom, tell us about today, because it's going to take some unpacking, because I think if you just look at the max, you might get the wrong idea about what kind of things you can get up to today.
Yeah, it's very changeable, isn't it? So pretty warm overnight. So the lowest temperature overnight was at 9:30 last night, roughly 21.4 degrees. It's currently jumped up to 23.3. So warming up quite well. And certainly we're still looking at a maximum, estimated maximum of 30 degrees today. 31 for Elizabeth and 30 for Mount Barker, 29 for Glenelg, 28 for Noarlunga. If you look outside, sunny conditions, and it will be like that for a few hours still. So we'll start to see some cloud coming in the afternoon. The edge of that cloud's currently at out west there at Sojourner or so. See that coming in later, in the afternoon, let's say. But sunny conditions this morning. And there's also a wind change. Firstly, before that, northerly winds are sort of very strong. So it's a windy day, strong and squally northerly winds. There's a severe weather warning current for the Adelaide metropolitan area for possible damaging winds, and that's also current for large areas of South Australia as well. The change is coming through later today, probably somewhere around 6 to 7 p.m. You'll see the wind change around, and following that, there's expectation of a chance of some shower activity coming in the evening, probably most likely in the late evening, and even the chance of a thunderstorm in there as well. And then for Friday, there'll be a band of rain initially in the early morning, a very high chance of that rain, then easing to a medium chance of showers during the day, possible thunderstorm in the early morning. Temperature almost half today, just 16 degrees, so much cooler conditions, and cool conditions continuing for the weekend. Shower or two around, 16 for Saturday, 15 for Sunday. Not a lot of showers, but one or two around from time to time. Then gradually increasing temperatures next week, maybe possible shower Monday, 17. Dry and 17 for Tuesday, up to 20 degrees next Wednesday, and sunny conditions, guys.
So, Tom, just hypothetically, say you were booked in with a mate to hit off at Regency for a round of golf at 1:15 this afternoon. Do you think the wind's going to be so bad that it might affect the game?
Maybe.
Yeah, okay. Well,
I'm not a golfer, but it's looking
neither am I.
like the ball might be doing a bit of swinging or something. I don't know.
Might give me a valid excuse just for once
That's
in my
right.
life.
You can blame the conditions.
Terrible weather.
It's impossible out here today. Good on you, Tom.
Dry's good.
Tom Bowick, senior forecaster at the Weather Bureau. It's 7 to 7. We're off to the US right after this.
Want to learn to be the boss?
Change the system.
Blaze the trail.
Want to turn your passion into pay?
Ever dreamed of solving the problem?
Helping community.
Setting the trends.
The time to take this course begins today.
At Torrens University Australia, we can transform passion into careers that bring the best out of you.
Find a course that fits you perfectly and follow your heart.
Do what you love.
And love what you do.
Search Torrens University Australia.
At Coles, there's plenty of treats for Father's Day, like half-price Mars Maltesers 400 gram, Celebrations 320 gram, or Toblerone 360 gram, all just $6 each. Coles, value the Australian way. Offer ends Tuesday.
You've selected your block, up on the river. Your mind is buzzing with ideas. This is going to be the best river home ever. Raised high, breezes flowing, great times ahead. But first, you need to walk through the Selector Homes display village and let your design ideas flow. Selector Homes have been creating holiday homes for over 25 years, and they are experts in building pole homes. Selector Homes and Building Solutions Display Village, Port Wakefield Road, Burton. Visit selectorhomes.com.au.
G'day, it's Merv Hughes here. In my day, I loved battling the ponds, but these days, my missus is the enemy. Why? I snore really badly. But she saved the day by sending me for a CPAP direct sleep test. Now the snoring is gone, I'm refreshed and revitalised.
CPAP Direct, now open at 600 Port Road, Allenby Gardens. From sleep studies to the latest CPAP gear at Adelaide's best prices. Sale on now.
If you snore or wake up tired, head to cpap.com.au.
Hi, Rodney Jane here. Bob Jane T-Marts have loads of big deals for safer holiday driving. Buy 3, get 1 free. And instant cashbacks on brands such as Bridgestone, Michelin, Yokohama, Goodyear, Dunlop, Falcon and Bob Jane Xenon Z7. With Australia's largest tyre range from just $59, our best tyre price guarantee and biggest alloy wheel choice from only $125, we'll look after you.
T's and C's apply.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. For verandas, sheds, garages or carports, don't miss Olympic Industries Whatever the Weather sale on now. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
4 minutes to 7. After 7:30 this morning, Matt Abraham will join us. We'll rate some spin.
Out of 10, every time.
Now, there's something a little bit hard to determine about the spin scale and whether 1 is what you want or 10's what you want. But I tell you what, the biggest piece of spin going on in the world right now is the US trying to claim that the withdrawal from Afghanistan was some sort of crowning achievement or the whole program was a success. So it would either get a 1 or 10. From Matt, I suspect. Let's head to the US now for more on that. David Woyward for 7 News has been covering all the fallout. David, good morning to you.
Morning, guys. How you going? An incredible amount of spin going on over here at the moment.
Is anyone buying it?
Hard to say.
CNN.
Joe Biden. Well, no, CNN, look, they've been pretty on the fence about it. They've been pointing out the major failings in this withdrawal mission, and there have been plenty of them. I mean, we've all seen those pictures now of those people on the tarmac running after planes. We've seen the crush outside those airport gates, and then the loss of 13 US servicemen and women during that suicide bomb. But despite all of that, we've had the President Joe Biden. He was out and about yesterday. He made a speech really marking the end of this war. He was pretty defiant, and he's painted this picture that America had to leave or it had to escalate the conflict, and that this withdrawal mission was a success. And we've even heard from the Defence Secretary and Joint Chiefs of Staff again today as well, and they've also painted the picture of a successful mission. So they're now pointing to those numbers, things like largest airlift operation in US history to try and sell that argument. But I don't know how many people are going to buy it. There's so many big questions here. It's a catastrophic failure of intelligence, really, fellas, on so many grounds. Like, how did they get it so wrong? Why did they think the Afghan army would fight on? So some big questions there for the Defence Department and those intelligence agencies.
Now that Hurricane Ida's moved on the down on the Gulf Coast around Louisiana, David, getting a clearer picture of the extraordinary amount of property damage that's been done, and the big fear now seems to be when is the power going to come back on?
Yeah, power and alligators as well that have been patrolling those floodwaters. But it is a huge amount of damage to these properties, and they're still calculating that damage bill at the moment as well. So we had that one death when Ida did sweep through, and that cleanup is still well underway. Joe Biden, he will pop down there to Louisiana later this week as well, of course. It's a rite of passage for a president. They normally do that, but he's trying to give them a bit of clear water to try and get the start of that cleanup underway. Look, we knew that Ida was going to be packing a punch. It had been likened, I'm sure you heard, to Katrina before it was actually set to make landfall. Look, nowhere near the loss of life that we saw in 2005 compared to Katrina, and that is being sort of credited to a lot of the improvements that have been made since then as well. So a little bit of good news there for the people of Louisiana.
Sounds like everyone left as well this time, probably bitten by the experience of Katrina. Like, I looked at the town of Grand Isle, which is like a fishing village right down the southern end of the bayou. Apparently no one there when the hurricane hit. Like, everyone said, we're getting out.
Yeah, 100%. They raised the alarm very, very early. They sort of had days' notice, and those freeways out of Louisiana. We had hundreds of thousands. It was just gridlock trying to get out of there. So they've all hightailed it, and probably a good thing too, because it really did pack a punch when it swept through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good on you, David.
Thanks, Dave.
That's David Woodward for 7 News in the US. It's 7 o'clock, 5AA News on the way. We'll take you through some of the big stories, a couple of TV-related stories to sink our teeth into after 7 o'clock, and then the Premier of South Australia at about 7:15 this morning on the latest COVID scare facing our state.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio, and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Becoming windy and partly cloudy today, 30 with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
The X in Physio Extra stands for extra time, extra care, extra convenience, with 6 locations. Visit physioextra.com.
A man has been arrested after a serious domestic assault in the Hills last night. Senior Constable Christina Phillipson says they were called to a Birdwood home after reports of a violent altercation.
They found a 26-year-old man with a stab wound to the back. He was taken by ambulance to the Royal Adelaide Hospital, and his injuries are not believed to be life-threatening. The injured man's father, a 62-year-old Birdwood man, was arrested at the scene and charged with aggravated assault cause harm.
He'll face Mount Barker Magistrates Court today. A woman's been threatened with a kitchen knife while using an ATM at Colonnades. A man attempted to steal bank cards, cash and keys from the victim this morning. She refused and eventually managed to outsmart the suspect, who targeted her unlocked car and drive off. A search of the area failed to find the offender. Investigations are continuing. More COVID exposure sites were identified overnight as health authorities tracked the movements of 5 positive truckies who recently passed through our state. 2 of the additional locations are in the metro area, Highway Truck Accessories and the BP at Wingfield, along with the Coles Express at Tailem Bend and Pinaroo OTR. The SA Health website has dates and times. Hundreds of people have been ordered into quarantine, with more expected. Meantime, urgent retesting of wastewater has been undertaken after traces of COVID were detected in the northern and southern suburbs. An epidemiologist warns Victoria could soon see up to 2,000 COVID cases a day. Melbourne is on track to record the world's longest lockdown after stay-at-home orders were extended. University of Melbourne Professor Tony Blakely has told Today if the virus continues on the current trajectory, infections will surge.
It's going up on average of about 5% per day, and just sort of basic Excel calculations I've done, with the vaccine coverage going up, it will eventually catch it about the beginning of November and catch it at about 2,000 cases per day, which is not pretty.
A new report is raising concerns NDIS employees are too bureaucratic and lack the necessary knowledge. Nine's Maham Kashani has more.
The study published in the Australian Journal of Social Issues has revealed employees of the nation's disability insurance scheme are too inward-facing and technical when dealing with participants. It found while some reported amazing outcomes, 75% of carers reported being on the receiving end of decisions made by staff without formal qualifications. Study author John Hurley has told The Australian the research highlights the need for better training of care staff in administrative roles.
There are concerns the International Space Station could suffer irreparable failures due to outdated equipment and hardware. At least 80% of in-flight systems on the Russian segment of the ISS have passed their expiry date. Small cracks have been discovered, which could worsen over time. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
You could win millions with the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. Visit homelottery.com.au.
Despite last weekend's loss to Melbourne, the Lions head into Saturday night's semi-final against the Western Bulldogs as favourites. Although Brisbane has got issues with its forward 50, playing at the Gabba will come as a boost. Chris Fagan says playing at home is always an advantage.
Play the Gabba really well. We obviously play a lot of games of footy there, and we've lost the one game there this year. That was round 1 to the Swans, and I think last year the only game we lost was to Geelong in that final at the Gabba. So we've got a good record there over the last 2 years. We like playing there.
Carlton legend David Parkin has been named on the club's selection panel to secure a new coach. At the US Tennis Open, Aussie Alexei Poprin has progressed to the 3rd round, and he wants to make the second week of the tournament as well.
I want to break that duck. I want to get to that second week for the first time. But I'm going to take it one match at a time. I'm going to play Evo with the highest level that I can possibly play, and we'll see how it goes. But I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling good.
Australia won 4 medals in the pool last night at the Paralympics, and Cristiano Ronaldo has made history this morning. He's become the men's all-time leading international goal scorer and saved Portugal in their World Cup qualifier in the process. He now has a record 111 international goals. That's 5AA Sport. Now checking 5AA traffic.
Is your BMW due for a service? Then book your service today at Glenelg BMW on Brighton Road.
At Penfield Gardens, got a car that's gone into a barrier rail on the Northern Expressway near Penfield Road outbound. Regency Park, 2-car collision there on Regency Road and the North-South motorway with debris on the road. Crafers and Stirling, you expect delays both directions on the freeway for work. Speeds at 60, seeing delays outbound already this morning. And look out for a camera at Days Road, Ferreton Park. Treat your taste buds to Red Rooster's $4.95 sub lunch. Chicken, chips, mashed gravy, onion rings. You can't top it. The Rooster's calling. Get it while you can, where you can. Available till 4 p.m. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Head to Foodland, Drake's or IGA for Nutrimate, a new dog roll loaded with healthy nutrients.
Becoming windy and partly cloudy today, but a top of 30. Then early rain tomorrow, 16. Saturday, a shower or two, 16. Right now, it's 23 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Don't miss Olympic Industries Whatever the Weather sale on now. Visit olympicindustries.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
6 after 7, good morning to you. Welcome to a warm Thursday morning in Adelaide if you're just waking up. It's warm, but it's a little deceptive because it's windy out there. It's not necessarily going to be the most pleasant of days, albeit...
First few hours might be all right.
Yeah, it's going to be 30, and you're not going to have to get around all rugged up wearing a fur coat. So, you know, that frankly gives it, ticks it into the positive in my book. So
Will often wears a fur coat in the middle of winter.
All into the natural furs, you know me.
Comes in here looking like some sort of, Harlem pimp.
I've got that raccoon hat that I quite fancy.
The fedora.
Yeah.
The cane.
A range of stuff. That's right. Real flamboyant dresser I am. Coming up this hour, Matt Abraham will join us. We'll dissect some spin after 7:30 this morning. Then a little later we'll talk swooping magpies because with the variable weather at this time of year, it says spring, as do the magpies, and cyclists with straws out of their helmet.
Yeah, or
I've
cable
seen them
ties.
Everywhere. Cable ties.
Does that actually work?
I suppose apparently it does. We'll ask the expert after 8 o'clock today.
I always thought birds sort of work those things out pretty quickly. It's like scarecrows. They last for about 2 days.
Well, the big thing that's changed, and we'll talk about this later, is that magpies, scientists have in the last couple of years realised magpies have incredible facial recognition capabilities of humans. So they know.
Better than an iPhone.
Apparently one of the best ways to get them to stop swooping you is being in the area a lot. Because they'll realise this person's not
threat.
Not trying to cause any issues here.
We've got Maggies in our backyard. They've never caused any dramas.
Well, they like the look of you. They've seen you. They're like this Penberthy guy.
I feed them.
All he wants to do is be in the... Apparently, without giving away too much after 8, that's the other way to get them on your good side.
I give them dog food. They love it.
They absolutely. All right, now, 8 after 7. We'll talk more magpies then. The well-known commentator and TV host in the UK, Piers Morgan, is claiming victory after he was exonerated by the TV industry regulator, Ofcom, in the UK, who had a closer look at the comments that led to his axing from Good Morning Britain, sort of like the Sunrise equivalent over in the UK, and he was sort of like the Koshy equivalent. I don't think either of them would like the comparison, though.
He's less excited about Port's grand final chances.
Exactly right. He was making comments about the Meghan Markle interview with Oprah Winfrey. That's what started the whole process, in which he suggested, well, he said quite clearly he didn't believe her. Didn't believe her talking about her mental health and her anguish and her problems. He just sees her as a attention-seeking pain in the backside, effectively. He was questioned in that segment by co-host Alex Beresford, and that led to him walking off, quitting, and then there was an investigation about whether those comments were appropriate. Ofcom said they were. Here's Piers Morgan.
I'm angry to the point of boiling over today. I'm sickened by what I've just had to watch.
Okay, and people might be upset.
Sorry, you can
and
come to
moved by
you can
what they
defend
heard.
it in a minute. I'm just going to say what I'm going to say.
Okay.
This is a 2-hour trash-a-thon of our royal family, of the monarchy, of everything the Queen has worked so hard for, and it's all been done as Prince Philip lies in hospital. Mm-hmm. They trash everybody. I'm not taking anything they said at face value, I'm afraid. I think it's completely self-serving. So let's make it a claim in the same way that everything about them is negative, they portray as nonsense, tabloid, rumour mill, and a claim. So let's play the same game with them. Right, fair enough.
Although it's come from their mouth. I mean, you know, a
doesn't
lot of
make
the
it
claims
true.
in the tabloids...
This is their truth.
Their own mouth.
It doesn't make it true what they're saying.
That was Piers Morgan. That was the segment that that drew the interest of the industry watchdog, who ruled, I think, actually quite rightly, that if a journalist or commentator can't openly speculate about whether they believe someone, then there's some real questions about how freedom of speech works.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't think that there was anything in what Morgan said that overstepped the mark. And, you know, I think it's a real worry that the conversation that he started there was exactly the same thing that was being discussed at dinner tables all over the United Kingdom and in a lot of Commonwealth countries like ours. We're on our show, we were getting texts on the Chelsea Storm Mount Barker text line going, I've always liked Harry, but I don't know why he's done this interview with Oprah, particularly at a time when his grandfather's so sick. What would it be? What sort of pressure would it be and distress would it be causing to the Queen? They're totally valid questions to ask.
Yeah. Here in Australia, speaking of TV controversies, The Block has seen a boost in its ratings on the back of a cheating scandal.
Never in the history of The Block has anyone dared to shatter the rules and destroy the game. You won't believe what's about to go down.
The Block is the biggest game in Australia. This is the biggest cheating scandal in TV history.
Never trust your neighbours.
And look, they're milking it for all that it's worth, as you can tell by that promo.
What about the promo?
I actually think the whole story is fascinating, and I'm not. If I confuse some of my language, it'll expose that I'm not a regular Block watcher. But what's effectively happened is one of the teams got sight of, apparently in Scott Cam's office, the production schedule, which in terms of The Block gives you a huge advantage. You could see when they were filming certain rooms, when they were going to have certain people on site, and you could work around that and get stuff done ahead of time in certain places. So they knew what the timeline was going to be. They knew exactly what the timeline was going to be. So one of the teams took a photo of the schedule, sent it to actually know another. They sent it on to their builder and said, "Hey, these are the parameters we're working in. Can we get this all happening?" Which, you know, frankly, it's now been dressed up as, you know, it's a cheating scandal. It's actually just a production stuff up, leaving around the production schedule.
Yeah.
Which
is, you saw it, you'd go, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Which has led some people to say maybe it wasn't a stuff up. Maybe it was all part of, you know, entrapment, creating some drama, leaving the breadcrumbs of people sowing their own destruction.
Reality TV. That'd be a surprise, wouldn't it?
Exactly right. I think it's great. Frankly, yeah, I don't think it's cheating.
It always makes me feel inadequate, that show.
Yeah.
Because you got these buff blokes wearing their tool belts and looking like they know what they're doing. They got nail guns. They got all these devices that I wouldn't know how to use. And it's like, oh yeah, we're just going to put the sink in, and then 10 minutes later the sink's in.
Yeah.
How do you put a sink in?
Yeah, I don't know.
You get a man in.
I call the sink guy. I call one of those buff guys with a tool belt on usually.
That's right. Exactly. Make sure your wife's not home when he turns up.
Exactly right.
Why don't you look more like that?
Started the program talking about the fractured
Busy
nature.
writing.
Yeah, exactly right.
Busy writing and broadcasting.
The fractured nature of our responses to vaccination in Australia, state by state, different plans to come out. In fact, the only people that seem to be in lockstep are the South Australian government and the federal government. Well, yeah, really interested in what Gladys Berejiklian had to say in New South Wales yesterday about what would happen when they hit 70%.
If you're a business, start dusting off your COVID safety plan. Make sure that your employees are vaccinated so that we can get back to life at 70% double dose vaccination. You can expect to go out and have a meal. You can expect to attend a public event. You can expect to go and get services that you can't expect to have done now.
That's 70% of adults, which is about 55% of all people in New South Wales. Some are saying that's particularly ambitious given the number of cases there. She also went on to the same press conference to say that and this again, it seems peculiar, this is decided on a state-by-state basis, but New South Wales is opening up their international borders. Come the end of the year, they'll be welcoming thousands of international guests and they'll be sending people off on holidays overseas.
Yeah, but if you come from Paris to Sydney and go, I've always wanted to go to Albury-Wodonga, well, you'd be able to go to Wodonga, but you won't be able to go to Albury.
Yeah, will that be the case?
Probably.
I'm not so sure.
You certainly won't be able to go to Perth.
I'm not so sure. Can we do interstate? Can we do international borders on a state-by-state basis?
Well, let's just tease out the logic of this. Forget vaccine passports. We just need 6 different passports.
Yeah, well, just defederate.
Yeah.
We need that GST money, though. Can we get it Can it be like a divorce? Can you get like a separation payment? We might need that.
There's lawyers for that.
We do have the Navy, though, so we're all sorted on that point.
Yeah, we got the Navy.
We've got the submarines.
Yeah.
So we can protect our waters.
Actually, it would make sense. Under a defederated model, South Australia is a military superpower.
Oh, yeah.
And with heaps of good wine.
Yeah. Doesn't sound so bad.
What a combination. Let's just load up and start, and then head round to Esperance and take a few sneaky pot shots at Mark McGowan.
Just disrupt the local shipping.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
We might have to. 15 minutes after 7, we'll get to some of your texts. Lots of texts over the course of the first hour or so of the show. Telstra Stormont Barker text line 0448 08 1395. But first, we'll check traffic. Is your BMW due for a service? Well, then book your service today. Glenelg BMW, now on Brighton Road.
Crafers and Stirling expect delays in both directions on the freeway for work. Speeds are at 60, seeing delays outbound. Cowandilla, Slow and Marion Road near Sir Donald Rabbit Drive for asphalt works, affecting both directions. Speeds are at 40. Woodville Park, also slow going this morning too. Port Road between Kilkenny Road and Woodville Road for works. And look out for cameras. Grey Terrace, Rosewater, Hamblin Road, Elizabeth Downs and Holbrooks Road at Flinders Park. The King Art of Living sale ends soon. Save on the best in Australian design indoor and outdoor furniture. Visit the King Keswick showroom or shop online today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Leon Biner.
At 2 o'clock yesterday, the Ambulance Employees Association reported that there were no ambulances available across the Adelaide Hills, Fleurieu Peninsula, leaving multiple life-threatening emergencies without an ambulance in these communities.
9 till 12 weekdays.
Problem is just getting worse. So how would we possibly be able to manage if we actually had a COVID outbreak?
SSA as Leon Biner. SSA as AA.
Hey, congrats on the promotion. What'd you do?
Oh, I upskilled.
Yeah?
Yeah, did a few courses at WEA. Or, as we like to say, I WEA'd it.
With new courses going up every week, you can WEA anything. wea-sa.com.au.
Are you nuts about your dad? What better way to show him this Father's Day than with something he loves from Charlesworth Nuts? G'day, I'm Brett Charlesworth and we have over 50 different handmade gifts filled with his favourite nuts and chocolates. We have amazing gift hampers, gift baskets and gift bags, any of which will make you the absolute favourite. Go nuts in our online shop right now or visit one of our 11 family-owned stores. And thank you, South Australia. We really appreciate your support. Why Charlesworth? Because fresh nuts taste better.
Discover why so many retirees are choosing to live well with FIVEaa at a free spring morning tea event from Tuesday the 7th to Friday the 10th of September. Come and enjoy a free morning tea, explore our communities, tour the display homes, discover the facilities and activities, and chat to our friendly team. With events across Adelaide, there's sure to be one near you. To RSVP, search FIVEaa Open House today. All events will operate with a COVID-safe plan.
It's the little things that make a big difference to your day, like a thank you email from a colleague or a smile from a stranger on the train. And it can all start here with a healthy, delicious breakfast made with the goodness of Aussie-made Pura milk. It's got 8 essential nutrients and vitamins to kickstart your morning and set you up for the day ahead. So start your day the positive way with Pura.
Great eye care starts with OPSM.
We have innovative lenses
and a wide range of frames, fits and brands.
Visit OPSM today to receive 20% off lenses and lens extras when purchased as part of a complete pair. Offer ends September 9. Further T's and C's apply. OPSM. Life focused.
Hey, that looks amazing. How did you get so good at Photoshop?
Oh, I just WEA'd it. It was easy. Anyone can do it.
With new courses going up every week, you can WEA anything. wea-sa.com.au.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
For veranda sheds, garages or carports, don't miss Olympic Industries Whatever the Weather sale on now. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
90 minutes after 7. Time to catch up with, well, let's just call him the President of South Australia, Stephen Marshall. Sorry, Premier. We're getting it's hard to keep track of who's part of this country any longer. We're still signed up to everything, aren't we?
We're still signed up to the Federation. It's a good system. It comes under a bit of stress every now and again, but it's if you look at the systems of government around the world, I think ours stands up pretty well compared to most.
We billed this interview with you this morning, Premier, as a national exclusive. Us talking to the only Premier, the only mainland Premier and Federation who still seems to believe in National Cabinet and the Doherty modelling and the roadmap out of COVID. Does it worry you the extent to which the Premiers all seem to be dancing to their own tune on this?
An interesting situation at the moment. We do have expert advice from Doherty. They pull it together from other experts right around the country. It's a consensus model, and it's one that we in South Australia are 100% signed up to. I mean, we've listened to the experts, the evidence, the science, to medicine since day one here in South Australia. I think it's put us in really good stead. And what it's showing to us is that the Delta strain is very different from what we had last year. If we left this unchecked without lockdowns in New South Wales, it would completely swamp their health sector there. I think last week we had 700 people in hospital. It's probably more than 1,000 there at the moment. A lot of people in intensive care, and that's with a massive lockdown. So you can imagine if it was left unchecked. And so really, if you're not going to use lockdowns, you've got to have higher vaccination rates. That's what we're committed to in South Australia.
So just in terms of what we are committed to, and asking this because I think a lot of people would be confused hearing all of the stuff coming from other state leaders and wonder, well, hang on, if Anastasia Palaszczuk's saying that about kids or if Mark McGowan's saying that about borders, where does that leave us? What is South Australia's position? At what point do you think our borders will open up?
Well, look, certainly in terms of when we get to 80%, which I hope is going to be in the coming months, we will not be having statewide lockdowns. And that's the most punishing thing when you've got to put people in your own state into 7-day lockdown. So that will become a thing of the past. It doesn't mean that when we get a positive case, we'll just say, oh, well, let that go through. We'll still do what we call test, trace, isolate and quarantine. So if you are infected, we'll look at those close contacts, we'll put them into isolation or quarantine because we don't want it just going through our state. But what we do know is that the transmission potential really massively reduces once we get to 80% of the adult population having this double dose of the vaccine. So look, at the moment, one person gets the Delta variant, they pass it on to about another 8 people if there is no level of, if you like, restrictions in the community or high-level vaccines. As the vaccines increase, that diminishes much, closer down to about 1. One person infects one other person. That's not a pandemic. That doesn't overrun health systems. That's where we've sort of got to get back to, and we've got to do that as quickly as possible.
That covers the lockdown side of it. What about the borders, though? When do you think we'll open the borders to Victoria and New South Wales?
Well, I think that what we'll do in that phase is move to a more nuanced approach. So instead of locking down an entire state, what we'll do is we'll say, well, look, this LGA has got a breakout or a cluster or these exposure sites. So when people are putting in applications to come in, we say, well, look, these LGAs are excluded, but I think we will be moving away from whole-of-state lockdowns. You see, the problem with the situation as it is at the moment, you really only know the actual picture of what's going on in a state 14 days after it's occurred. So you've got to extrapolate because this is just such a transmissible variant of the disease. But as the vaccination rate goes up, it's not as transmissible. That massively reduces from 8 times down to about 1.5, which is far more manageable using the sort of the methodologies that we put in place last year, where we didn't have whole-of-state lockdowns for much of last year. We really did nuance that around specific clusters and specific outbreaks, and that's where we need to get back to. Look, we're never going to go back to just exactly where we were before we even knew about coronavirus. We're going to be living with this for some time. Next year we'll start to have to talk about booster shots for those people who have already had the vaccine, and of course we could have other things that develop. I mean, there could be other variants that we're going to have to deal with. But what I know is that we've been put in a very good situation, an enviable situation, by backing science and evidence, and it seems to me that is the best way for us to continue. And I know that it can be very, very frustrating for people with a large number of people at the moment applying for exemptions to come into South Australia. We've got to be really careful at the moment. We've come a long way. We've got more people employed in South Australia than ever before in the history of the state. We've got a lot to lose if we have to have a punishing lockdown in South Australia. So we've just got a few more weeks to go. Big numbers now in terms of vaccination. I think last week was over 95,000 vaccination doses administered. these are big numbers. So you can imagine where we're going to be in the next sort of 4, 6, 8 weeks. It's going to be a changed situation for our state.
How concerned are you then, given the transmissibility, about the 2 new instances of infected truck drivers arriving in South Australia?
Well, very concerned, but the good news is overnight that we got confirmation that wastewater a positive result that we had it came back negative. So we did have that positive result yesterday, or in fact 2 of them. We go back and we do further testing, and the good news is overnight that we didn't have a further positive test. So that is very good news for South Australia. And it's also good news that, the people of South Australia have been hugely cooperative. I think there are about 400 people now who are in what we call directed quarantine. So these are the people that are most likely to have come into contact with this disease. They've very, very willingly said, yep, I'm going to isolate myself. I don't want to put our state at risk. That is the cooperation that we see in South Australia. It's a very different situation from other parts of the world, other parts of the country.
Premier Stephen Marshall, thanks very much for joining us this morning on 5AA.
Thanks, guys.
25 minutes after 7. Let's turn our attention to sport. Interesting chat we had with Brodie Smith last night. Time's valuable. Ensure your vehicle receives rapid, accurate service with North Point Toyota Express Maintenance. It is the North Point way. He asked Brodie Smith about the Toby Green suspension.
Toby Green got 3 weeks, fair call?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, it was...
What's he thinking? What's he like to play? Is he a real hothead?
He's not too bad. We actually had a bit of a laugh this year on the field. They absolutely smacked us, so it wasn't like the game was on the line.
That was your worst game for the year.
Yeah, he kicked a goal on me that he pushed me in the back, and it was pretty clear, and the umpire just said play on. He took the mark, and we had a bit of a laugh about it afterwards. But he's obviously, you love guys that play on the edge like he does, and he's obviously a super talent and so good, but you just need to just calm your jets at times, and obviously we all know you can't touch umpires, and it looked to me when I was watching it that he just walked straight through the umpire, so I think 3 weeks is fair.
Yeah, okay. Do you have any players like that in your club, and how do you change behaviours? It's not an easy thing. He's played nearly 180 games. Every 8th game he gets MRO'd. He's not an idiot, or is he? I mean, how do you change behaviours?
Yeah, it's hard. I think young Ned's the one that stands out for me when you talk about guys that play on the edge, which, as I said, we absolutely love it. And there's times this year where he's gone a little bit too far, giving away silly free kicks because he's standing up for his teammate. Ned McHenry, standing up for his teammate, which is what you love. You want guys that are going to stand up for each other, but he just goes a little bit too far.
He's 5'8".
Yeah, I know.
And he's 70
He's our smallest guy, and he's the one that gets in there and does it, which is impressive. But so you have the conversation of we love it, but you've got to pick the time, and you can't be giving away free kicks and 50-metre penalties, and it's more about when you can and when you can't and how you go about doing it. But we absolutely love the way he goes about it.
So the AFL are going to appeal it, aren't they? But they're going to do it after the grand final.
Yeah.
So that GWS can just concentrate on the finals.
I think...
Without Toby Green playing for them.
The timing's interesting because it's psychologically, you think, impossible not to assess. Has the penalty been appropriate or inadequate? If GWS make the grand final, it's going to feel like it's a massive penalty. But if they lose this next week, well, then it's a different conversation. I think psychologically it's tough to disentangle those two things. 3 weeks isn't 3 weeks when it's finals.
Yeah, well, Dangerfield made that point yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah.
Like the impact of it.
That's right.
On your career, your dreams, your hopes, everything is massive.
Yeah, exactly right. Time's valuable. Ensure your vehicle receives rapid, accurate service with North Point Toyota Express Maintenance. It is the North Point way. We'll be back with Matt Abraham in just a moment.
The sun, the brightest entity in our solar system. But what's the brightest place on Earth? Right here at Kate's house. She just installed a home battery in the state that leads the world in home batteries, storing the sun's renewable energy, reducing emissions, making power more affordable. Right here in SA, the brightest place on Earth. For your government subsidy and more affordable energy, visit homebatteryscheme.sa.gov.au. A message from the Government of South Australia.
If you're building a home, the Selector Homes Display Village is a great place to start. Your ideas and imagination will flow. There's nothing else quite like it in Adelaide. Different homes for different lifestyles, all in the one location. Walk through the sanctuary. It's simply stunning, with an incredible Jarrah facade, polished concrete floors and a sensational use of space. Explore the Selector Homes and Building Solutions Display Village, Port Wakefield Road, Burton. Visit selectorhomes.com.au.
It's been a tough 18 months, so at Vinnie's, we're giving back to our loyal shoppers for sticking by us during these uncertain times. Simply spend $10 or more in store and receive a Rip and Reveal ticket. Inside, you'll find a discount or Vinnie's gift card to be used on a future purchase. Every ticket wins, and best of all, every purchase you make helps Vinnie's support people who are struggling. Find your nearest Vinnie's at vinnies.org.au/shops.
Now, David, the team at Peter Shearer Menswear has certainly been helping us out. We've both been Peter Shearer dressed before.
I love the whole experience of going in there. I had an off-the-rack tux. It was like it was just sitting there waiting for me to go in. Tony and the guys, they fitted me up perfectly. They said, yeah, this was like a new one.
Yeah,
fantastic.
And we're both in the same boat. We're not big clothes shoppers.
No.
We don't enjoy the process. But this was as good as it can be.
Oh, yeah.
They're great.
And the good thing is you can get everything there too. They got a lot of really good casual clothes, smart casual as well.
And here's even better news. Their end-of-season sale is now on for a limited time only, so make sure you get in there for a great range of winter menswear, up to 50% off suits, sports coats, jackets, knits, shoes and business shirts. You should go in there right now and just do the next 10 years worth of shopping.
Yeah.
Like, what do you need? One suit, sports jacket,
two pairs of pants.
Yeah, that's right. Just get it done now.
Some casual shoes, some
and
dress shoes.
Try not to blow out.
Exactly.
Big name brands such as New England Industry, Blazer, Ben Sherman, Jeffrey Bean, I say that because I've done it, Julius Marlowe and Cambridge. 2 trouser suits were $6.49. Now they're just $3.99.95. So
wow,
it's crazy the sort of savings you can get.
They'll last 4 times as long when you get the 2 pairs of Dax as well.
Exactly.
That's the way
right.
to do it.
It's the end of the season and you can save now at Peter Shearer Menswear, Rundle Mall, Mount Barker and Glenelg. You can shop online too, petershearer.com.au. Peter Shearer Menswear, always the brand with the big brands.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Becoming windy, partly cloudy and 30 today. With the 7:30 news, I'm Mel Usher.
Woken with a stiff neck or sore back? Get a Physio Extra appointment today. 6 locations, physioextra.com.
The list of COVID exposure sites in SA is growing as the number of positive truckies who've recently passed through jumps to 5. The latest locations were visited on either Monday or Wednesday this week, or both. They are Highway Truck Accessories in the BP at Wingfield, the Coles Express at Tailem Bend, and the Pinaroo OTR. Times can be found on the SA Health website. Premier Stephen Marshall has told 5AA Breakfast they're required to immediately quarantine and be COVID tested.
There are about 400 people now who are in what we call directed quarantine. So these are the people that are most likely to have come into contact with this disease. They've very, very willingly said, yep, I'm going to isolate myself. I don't want to put our state at risk. That is the cooperation that we see in South Australia. It's a very different situation from other parts of the world, other parts of the country.
Meantime, retesting of suspect wastewater north and south of the city has found no traces of the virus. The Prime Minister is calling for people over the age of 60 to get the AstraZeneca vaccine now. Scott Morrison says those waiting for Pfizer will end up being at the back of the queue when supply ramps up. Margaret Hellard from the Burnett Institute says cases of COVID will increase and those who aren't vaccinated will be most at risk of ending up in hospital.
To me, I don't think people should be waiting for the Pfizer vaccine because we need people to get vaccinated now. The restrictions that we have at the moment will only begin to be eased when more of us are vaccinated. So the idea is don't wait.
A man has been stabbed in a domestic dispute at Birdwood overnight. The 26-year-old suffered a stab wound to the back. He was taken to the RAR. His injuries are not believed to be life-threatening. His father, a 62-year-old Birdwood man, was arrested at the scene and charged with aggravated assault causing harm. He'll face court today. Police are searching for a man who threatened a woman with a kitchen knife at Colonnades. Senior Constable Christina Phillipson says she was using an ATM at the shopping centre around 3:30 this morning.
She was threatened by a man holding a large kitchen knife. The suspect demanded her car keys, cash and phone. The victim refused to hand over the items and the suspect subsequently rummaged through the victim's unlocked vehicle. And the victim ran off, but she returned shortly after and managed to outsmart the suspect to gain entry to that vehicle and drive off to safety.
Australia Post is pausing collections for customers and retailers in Victoria, New South Wales and the ACT for 4 days in an effort to clear a record backlog of parcels. It will apply to all parcel post collections from 7 a.m. this Saturday to Tuesday. The US Defence Secretary is defending their withdrawal from Afghanistan as the Taliban regime officially takes over. Lloyd Austin argues the choice was either to leave the country after 20 years or escalate the conflict. The terror group took charge of Kabul's airport as American troops flew out of the country with citizens and Afghan visa holders. Mr. Austin says their departure was an historic moment.
They were operating in an immensely dangerous and dynamic environment, but our troops were tireless, fearless, and selfless. Our commanders never flinched, and our allies and partners were extraordinary.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Win a $3 million grand prize on South Brighton Esplanade with the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery.
It's another day off for the Port Adelaide playing group before they get to work ahead of their prelim final. They'll play the winner of Saturday night's semi-final between the Western Bulldogs and Brisbane. Well, Australians will compete in at least 6 medal events on day 9 of the Paralympics. Nine's Eddie Summerfield previews the action.
T63 long jump world record holder Vanessa Lowe represents Australia for the first time at a Games. The former German won gold in Rio. Cycling sees Emily Petricola and Meg Lemon looking to back up time trial medals in the road race. Dairy farmer Cole Pearce, who trained for the Games in his family's dam, is back in the pool in the backstroke. And the world's second tallest man is in action on day 9 in the sitting volleyball. Iran's Morteza Mirzad is 246 centimetres tall, or 8'1".
The final round of the NRL gets underway tonight in Mackay. The Roosters take on the Raiders. And Cristiano Ronaldo is now the all-time leading international goal scorer with 111. He netted a late double to help Portugal beat Ireland in their World Cup qualifier. That's sport. Now checking 5AA traffic.
Glenelg BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Drop in and see Adelaide's newest home for BMW.
At Crafers and Stirling, expect delays in both directions on the freeway for work. Speeds are at 60, seeing delays outbound. Cowandilla, slow on Marion Road near Sir Donald Bradman Drive for asphalt works, affecting both directions here. Speeds at 40 and slow going at Northfield this morning. Grand Junction Road near Hampstead Road for works. Busy South Road, James Cogden Drive to Sir Donald Bradman Drive, and look out for cameras, Grey Terrace, Rosewater, East Slip Road at Penfield. Get your 10th coffee free at Coles Express. Scan your Flybuys card every time you buy any coffee, and your 10th is on the house. Only at Coles Express. Terms and conditions apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Head to Foodland, Drake's or IGA for Nutrimate, a new dog roll loaded with healthy nutrients.
Heading for a top of 30 for your Thursday, becoming windy and partly cloudy, then back down to just 16 tomorrow with early rain, 16 again on Saturday with a shower or two. Right now it's 24. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Here at 5AA, we're all about supporting local. Fly Adelaide to Uluru direct on a private charter with NT Now, fully hosted with deluxe accommodation, sightseeing and stacks of memorable experiences. Book online at ntnow.com.au.
At Coles, there's plenty of treats for Father's Day, like half-price Mars Maltesers 400 gram, Celebrations 320 gram, or Toblerone 360 gram, all just $6 each. Coles, value the Australian way. Offer ends Tuesday.
For verandas, sheds, garages or carports, don't miss Olympic Industries Whatever the Weather sale on now. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
23 minutes to 8. We'll get the latest on the weather from Jess Braithwaite, 9 News, very shortly. Our next guest was out in the elements yesterday, knocking around in his boat. You can see it on his Twitter account at the moment. Live action footage of Matt, Captain Abraham. Arr. Thanks to your local Mitre 10. They've got everything you need to keep warm this winter. That's mighty helpful Mitre 10. Morning to you, Matt.
Morning, Will. Good morning, David.
Looked a bit rough out there yesterday.
Yes, Bureau said it'd be under 10 knots. It was about under 20 would have been more.
You're not going out today?
No.
No one's going out today.
But this is my bung plug. But a very important part of the boat. They cost about $2, you know.
That stops it from filling up with water, doesn't it?
Not yesterday, it didn't, no. Some reason.
Give us a look at it.
For some reason, it wasn't screwed in properly.
Oh, no.
Or you got to put a little bit of grease. I don't know.
That's all that stands between you and
fate.
Yeah.
That's all.
You were taking on water. Did you have to bail out? What did you have?
I've got
bilge?
I do have an automatic electric bilge pump, of course.
Yeah.
But
are they compulsory?
No. What's compulsory is a
PFD.
Yeah, they did say metal buckets, but you have to have plastic buckets with a metal handle, which I think is funny because it means if it catches on fire, all you're left with is your hand. This is for fire, but also for bailing, and you must have a short length of rope on the handle. I love all these little rules. Same people who obviously come up with our COVID rules, I think. They've come up with.
Oh, COVID.
Now,
Do we have to talk about COVID?
Yeah, I think so. Well, yes.
We do.
We don't have to, but we could just have
I see you've
15
got
minutes of silence.
All roads lead to COVID.
It does. I've got this, thanks to Andy for showing me this on Medicare Express, the Medicare app. But this is my digital vaccination certificate. I won't flash it to the camera in case some spy copies it. But and it's got a hologram behind it, the Medicare one. So the crest of Australia, the Australian crest with the emu kangaroo. Can you see that move slightly?
Oh, yeah.
If you twist the phone. So, and I've also got up on...
Is that the bit that sends all the information straight to Bill Gates?
Yeah, I think so. Well, no, he's already got a chip implanted. From but I've also got it on Apple Wallet. Now, this for me is a total abandonment of my arguments about privacy. I've now thought, stuff it. This is like, resistance is futile. I've signed up to MyGov. I've clicked the vaccination. I don't care anymore. Because
this is like the point in Big Brother, the George Orwell novel, where Winston Smith falls in love with the state.
That's it. Well, not yes. You just this is
surrender.
This is what you're going to have to do. Like the QR codes were really just practice for what we'll be scanning immunisation statements if you want to go your immunisation certificate. And I have to say, it's very slick. But like they may have stuffed a lot of things up, like the vaccine rollout and so on.
Well, the original app, the original tracking app,
which is what was that, 25 million,
something like that,
and it's been used 3 times.
That was really good, wasn't it?
Exactly, but it is very good. And if you're vaccinated, get your digital certificate or whatever, or you can print one out and carry it around your wallet.
But this is a let's not brush over this, Matt. This is a watershed moment because you have been a dogged prodder and prober of many of the things we've been told to accept along the way. Have you, in all seriousness, got to the point where you go, well, if these are all the things we need to do to get back to normal life, I'm in, boots and all?
Yeah, I have. Like vaccination certificate. QR codes, I think, are brilliant, the South Australian ones. I think I've been a huge part of our success.
You wrote a great column the other day, learning to love the mask.
Yes. Well, actually, I started out writing, how much I hate masks. I don't know what went wrong with that column.
You talked yourself out of it.
It's Sunday Mail. I might have.
That happens.
But listening to Philip Marshall, what am I saying? Stephen Marshall driving in. He's not a priest, it's Philip Marshall. Apologise for that. Stephen Marshall driving in. You two talking to him. Now, that's the first time I've heard him nailed down on what are your projections, like what are the guidelines? Because up until now it's been, well, when we get, even Grant Stevenson's talked around the 80% mark, maybe a bit better for vaccinations. But that's the first time I've heard him say that, when we get to 80%, then, we're going to lift a lot of these restrictions. And not border controls, that's pretty obvious. But
not in full.
Not in full. So he's going to have, they'll look at sort of LGA, local government areas of concern, and monitor those. I don't know how you do that because, as we've seen in Sydney, it's sort of run, it's run riot, really, beyond that. But let's put that aside. It is a pretty clear commitment from him now that he's going to trust the Doherty Institute modelling. He is... It's all the way with Scotty, because I think the National Cabinet now consists of Scott Morrison and Stephen Marshall.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's sort of it. Everyone else doing their own thing.
Meeting the broom cupboard.
That's right.
Table for two.
That's the idea of unity. It really is. So he's really signed up on that. He's locked in on the Doherty modelling. Better hope it's right. And the projections are 80%. Now, we've got other states, Queensland and WA. I think WA wants, can you get 110% of vaccination?
And they still won't let Eddie McGuire in.
And they still won't let anyone in.
In all seriousness, we didn't know what they want, do we?
No.
I mean, it would appear what they want is this virus to have gone extinct.
before they'll open, which I don't think is a medically achievable point.
And the Premier said to you that, and I think this is a reality, that it's not going to go away.
Yeah.
It will, the best they can hope for is it goes from being a pandemic to endemic, so it's like a flu where we have to have booster shots.
I've got to say, I thought he was a lot clearer on the lockdown question than the border question. The lockdown answer was we will not be having statewide lockdowns at 80%, and we will have a system of test, trace, isolate and quarantine. So that's the new catch cry. But the border answer was more, well, when we get to 80%, we're going to have a close look at things. We might have more of an LGA-based approach. Now, the people I was thinking of when the Premier was saying all of those things were the many, many South Australian parents, because we still do have a brain drain in this state, who've got kids living in Lewisham, in Sydney, who are working over there as lawyers, or kids living in Carlton, in Melbourne, who are maybe over there doing some sort of research at a university or something like that. Because generally this is the South Australian middle class. They're the people who bleed young people to the eastern states. Now, given, as you said, Matt, the way COVID has exploded in a city like Sydney, if you happen to live in the inner west of Sydney, you are pretty much cheek and jowl living with the southwest of Sydney. The default position of SA Health, I would suspect, come December the 13th, when you're hoping that, your son and his fiancée can get back from Lewisham. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see any change. There's a good text from Sally as well on the text line saying that exact same thing. I reckon for the many people whose families have been separated by this, that wasn't as heartening an answer as they would have hoped for.
No, I wouldn't be making 2 Christmas puddings, if you were that family.
Yeah, totally.
Because that is where we get a little bit vague. And you see, Stephen Marshall is heading into an election in March. Now, I can't see a position where he'd campaign and win if we have multiple outbreaks here, even if our emergency departments were handling it and our caseload was low. If we go into an election and he's presiding over a smaller version of what's happened in Sydney, even with that vaccination rates at 80%, that's going to be very dangerous for him. He might do it after the election, might do it after March. We might see some change there, but we haven't in WA.
Yeah,
Mark McGowan doubled down.
He's going to have to go on an election campaign then when the hotels and business industry start funding the Labor Party, though. Because there's a bit of this. Some of it's winning votes, some of it's trying to get advertising. There is a reality about electioneering that is about having people that will give you money to pay for this stuff. You can't. It doesn't come from the taxpayer any longer. Once you're in an election campaign, you've got to raise that money. And the quandary for the Liberal Party is their traditional donors, the people they go to for their big handouts, are the people that are being most smashed by this.
But what will Labor promise to do?
Well, that's a really good point, because it puts them in a position. What is Peter Malinauskas has promised by default going to become, vote for us, we'll keep the state locked down forever.
Yeah, it's almost like he's Stephen Marshall's mini-me. I mean, it's not as clear. It's not as clear cut.
No,
as that. But you might see the hotel industry spending their own money on their own cause, raising doubt, raising questions about the strategy. It does seem to me, though, this talk about, well, we've got to get vaccination up to 80% so that our hospitals and ICUs aren't swamped, that really we've gone nowhere in 18 months, because that was the debate right at the start of this in March last year. And that is, well, we've got to have lockdowns, we've got to have these restrictions because we need to get to a situation where our hospitals aren't swamped and our ICUs aren't swamped. And that's the debate now. And we've also got some doctors saying, well, if our intensive care units are swamped, we have to triage. We'll have to make a decision about who lives and who dies, depending, I assume, on what your underlying health conditions are.
Well, we saw this week elective surgeries being cancelled. There's no COVID here. So, there's been this continuing problems with ramping and so forth, and that's with no COVID cases. So, that's where a big part of the battleground will be on health.
I think so.
All right, let's rate some spin.
Out of 10, every time.
Let's go to the White House.
Oh, excellent.
And POTUS.
We completed one of the biggest airlifts in history, with more than 120,000 people evacuated to safety. That number is more than double what most experts thought were possible. No nation has ever done anything like it in all of history. Only the United States had the capacity and the will and ability to do it, and we did it today. The extraordinary success of this mission was due to the incredible skill, bravery, and selfless courage of the United States military and our diplomats and intelligence professionals.
Yep. Extraordinary success of the defeat in Afghanistan. Although I do dips my lid to them, airlifting 120,000 people in a couple of weeks is quite an effort.
If the aim was to have a 20-year build-up to the best airlift ever, it was a great success.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
They nailed it.
Yeah.
I'm giving him 9 out of 10.
We speculated earlier whether that would get the whole Biden experience on this would get the 1 or 10 or 9, and you've answered
the
it.
way to go.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I get texts after the program arguing about the rating as though it actually has any scientific basis.
People are keeping a scoreboard, I've heard.
Yes.
It sounded like Biden didn't even believe it, didn't it?
No, that's right.
What?
Or maybe
The bloke's just
what he was
reading the
saying.
words, really. That's about all he's capable of at the moment. The most dispiriting thing in the world of politics at the moment is watching Joe Biden answer questions.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's frightening.
My attitude last year in November was, as long as anyone but Trump wins, I'm happy. And it sort of feels now that that's exactly what's happened.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like his great qualities, he's not Donald Trump.
You don't have to worry about it. That's right. He's not Donald Trump.
But the novelty's starting to wear off pretty fast.
Yeah.
That's all you can say about him.
Yeah, that's right. Good on you, Matt.
Thanks,
Pleasure.
Matt.
Your local Mitre 10 has everything you need to keep warm this winter. That's mighty helpful, Mitre 10. Time to check traffic. Is your BMW due for a service? We'll book your service today at Glenelg BMW on Brighton Road.
At Northfield this morning, slow going on Grain Junction Road near Hampstead Road for work, affecting both directions. Speeds reduced there. Cowandilla slow on Marion Road near Sir Donald Bradburn Drive for asphalt work. That's affecting both directions. And Crafers and Stirling expect delays in both directions on the freeway for work. Speeds at 60, seeing delays outbound this morning. Cameras Anderson Walk Smithfield, Carlton Parade Torrensville and Grey Terrace at Rosewater. Win big with the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. There's millions and millions to win. Visit homelottery.com.au, licence M14053. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Get the garden you want at Garden Grove. Start with Instant Lawn. Garden Grove are the instant lawn experts with a big range of well-priced, top-quality instant lawns for instant laying now. So for the lawn you want, see Garden Grove, Golden Grove Road, Golden Grove. Open 7 days. Phone 8251 1111 for delivery to your area.
Garden Grove, that's the garden. Garden Grove, that's the garden. Garden Grove, the garden that I want.
Start building now, and you could be living the life many envy at the 19th. Choose your architecturally designed 2, 3 or 4 bedroom luxury home package now from just $730K. The 19th at West offers an incredible lifestyle. Explore West's green pathways by foot or bike, sail or paddle on the iconic lake, swim at Grange Beach, or play around at the Grange Golf Club. It's all yours from just $730K, but you'd better be quick. Visit the19thwest.com.au today.
CMAX Clinical Research are calling all healthy adults aged 18 to 65. An exciting opportunity to contribute to medical research and trial a potential treatment for dementia is right here in Adelaide. Stay at CMAX for 7 consecutive nights and days and an additional 1-night stay and help pave the future of modern medicine. All eligible participants are paid for their time. You might be eligible if you are in good general health and not taking any medications other than contraception. Interested? Apply for CM5421 at cmax.com.au. That's cmax.com.au.
Now, here we go, folks. Listen up. It's Father's Day this Sunday. Do not forget it. And look, well, there's a place for socks and jocks, kind of. We'd much prefer something you can really use and enjoy, something from Mitre 10.
Yeah, don't go the easy option.
No, or the
In
boring
fact, well,
option.
this is just now the new easy option, but it's a better option.
Yes.
Plenty of great gift ideas in the Super Gifts for Super Dads catalogue that's out now. From garden-loving dads like a D. Penberthy to DIY dads less like a D. Penberthy to outdoor exploring dads. I think that you're sort of there. You're sure to find something Dad will love at Mitre 10.
And look, if you can't decide what to get, and never think doing this is a cop-out, because as the lucky recipient of the odd Mitre 10 gift card, I can tell you we love Mitre 10 gift cards because it lets us choose for ourselves.
That's right. Plus, spend $50 in store for your chance to enter the draw to win one of 4 family Weber Qs. And remember, Mighty Rewards members get automatic entry when spending $50 or more, plus a bonus entry.
Check out Mitre 10 Super Gifts for Super Dad's catalogue out now and get Dad something he really wants from your mighty helpful Mitre 10.
Eye health on healthy living. Thanks to Specsavers.
Patrick Mack is an optometrist with Specsavers. Back when we were kids, our parents would warn us not to sit too close to the TV or else we'll get square eyes. Were they right all the way along?
They were, unfortunately, but just not for that reason. So luckily we're not going to get square eyes, but we do end up with digital eye strain. So it is happening a lot more often now. People working from home, we've got school children who are remote learning, and of course everyone's got a mobile phone, so we're glued to our screens many hours of the day. When you spend a lot more time in front of screens, you are also spending a lot less time outdoors. We've got studies that tell us if you don't spend enough time outdoors, you're just more likely to become short-sighted. So you just increase your risk of needing glasses, I guess.
Specsavers, where every eye test includes an OCT Advanced 3D eye scan at no extra charge.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. Don't miss Olympic Industries Whatever the Weather sale on now. Visit olympicindustries.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
5 minutes to 8. I love this text from Jane in Nord, because I got to say, Jane, I thought the same thing listening to Joe Biden yesterday. Jane says, I think one of the biggest evacuations of people occurred at Dunkirk. I think Mr. Biden should read his history. The only cover I will give is that I've read a couple of accounts that quoted him as saying it's the biggest airlift in history. But certainly it's not the biggest evacuation of people in history. And Jane, you are absolutely spot on. Let's talk about the weather, because it looks magnificent out there. I suspect it probably doesn't feel quite as good. Jess Braithwaite from 9 News joins us. Jessie, good morning to you. Is it windy yet?
Oh, it's just starting to pick up now. I'm watching it come in from the west, actually. I was just looking out at Port Lincoln. They're gusting at around 80 k's now. We're around 50, 60 k's at the moment down at the airport. So, yeah, it's a bit of a hint of what's to come. But I reckon if today was going to be a movie, they would call it the Battle of the Seasons, because we've kind of got this hot, windy air that's kind of picking up throughout the day, and then that's going to clash with this cold, stormy, rainy system that's coming in overnight. So throughout today, it's not too bad at the moment. You'll notice the winds picking up. We've actually got warnings in place pretty much from top to tail across the state for wind gusts up to 100 k's an hour. But then later tonight, when this rainy system arrives, probably more so overnight, it might be a bit of a rain on the roof kind of a night, a few storms around too. There's a big cold pool of air coming in with that wet weather. So, today, look, 30 degrees, 12 degrees above average. By the time you wake up tomorrow, we're going to 16 degrees and a lot of rain around. I think most of the rain it'll start to clear up throughout the day, but, the morning will be wet. So that commute to work in the morning could be pretty wet. And then, after that, it's staying pretty cold. So it's staying cold for the weekend. Saturday, we've got 16 degrees. Sunday for Father's Day. Sorry, Dads. Look, I think you'll probably still get away with your outdoor plans in the sense that it shouldn't be too wet by then. There's only about a 30% chance of showers, but it's just not the nicest weather for the outdoor barbecue. 15 degrees. So, I think maybe we'll have to see if we can fix that timing next year so that we actually get the nice sunny weather on the weekend for all of the dads out there. But, yeah, staying cold. The next sign of a bit of spring hope is midweek. We start to get a bit of sun coming out next week.
Beautiful. Fantastic.
Good stuff.
Now, importantly, I've always known you as Jess. Is Jess or Jessica in official dispatches?
I actually prefer Jessica because there's so many Jesses out there.
Yeah,
I'll go with Jessica.
Jessica Braithwaite from 9 News. Thank you very much.
Guys.
Good work, Jessica.
All right, let's.
Will likes being called Will the Dill from Broken Hill.
Don't do that. That brings back flashbacks. Jessica. I've had many, many years in really expensive therapy dealing with my bullying, David. No, that's not the worst
Who
of it.
called you that? Was
That's
that a
not the
primary
worst
school?
of it. No, that was just mum and dad. All right, it's
the teasing begins at home with the parents.
Yeah, they had a view on that. It's time for John Blake, thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, Interstate Freight Distribution, Warehousing and Local Adelaide Couriers. Call Aussie Fast, 13 13 64.
The Office of the Premier of South Australia, the Honourable Stephen Marshall.
Yes, Julian.
Good morning, boss man. Would you like a cuppa?
Oh, yes, please.
I'll bring it in, boss features.
Yeah, okay.
Tea lady!
Oh, good.
Well, they're still saying that the election will be fought on health.
Who's they?
Everybody!
Who?
Leon Biner.
Oh, well...
Well, you need to listen, Premier. He keeps getting people on his show who say that you're in all sorts of trouble and it's all turning into crap.
Well, I don't think that's true.
Well, just in case...
Oh, no.
It's time for a mind training session.
I don't want to do this. I don't think it's healthy.
Oh, very good, Premier. Doing humour to cover up the fact that it's all turning into crap.
I wasn't doing
Here we go.
I think things are going along quite well, actually.
Well, come on, just a quick one to reinforce in your mind that you need to keep on your toes. And here we go. Turning into crap. I think it's turning into crap. I really think so.
Julian,
Come on.
Turning into crap. I think it's turning into crap. I really think so.
Excellent, Premier. Now, don't you feel better?
No.
You do, don't you?
No.
Excellent. Have a good day.
That didn't change my opinion.
We'll try again tomorrow.
More from John Blake coming up after 8:30. We'll talk Magpies in the next hour and breaking eights coming up.
Shh. Can you hear that? Hang on. Here it comes. The new Kia Niro has landed. Available as a hybrid, plug-in hybrid and full electric. It's Australia's broadest electric SUV range. And they're all available for immediate delivery. Technology moves fast. Meet 3 ways to catch up. The new Kia Niro electric SUV range. Check with your local Kia dealer for details.
Kia, movement that inspires.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
Online, on DAB digital radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Becoming windy, partly cloudy and 30 today. With the 8 o'clock news, I'm Mel Usher.
The X in Physio Extra stands for extra time, extra care, extra convenience, with 6 locations. Visit physioextra.com.
As the list of COVID-positive truckies who visited SA grows, so does the number of exposure sites. Contact tracers identified 4 more overnight, Highway Truck Accessories and the BP at Wingfield, along with the Coles Express at Tailem Bend and Pinaroo OTR. A total of 5 infected truckies have now passed through SA in recent weeks. Meantime, Premier Stephen Marshall says possible detection of the virus in local wastewater has been ruled out.
The good news is overnight that we got confirmation that wastewater positive result that we had came back negative. So we go back and we do further testing, and the good news is overnight that we didn't have a further positive test.
The COVID risk associated with truck drivers who crisscross borders is in the spotlight. There are calls for all truckies to be vaccinated as soon as possible. But it's feared hundreds of drivers could slam the brakes on freight if vaccinations become compulsory. The SA Transport Association's Steve Shearer says a mandate would result in a shortage of drivers.
If a significant percentage of truck drivers, just like the rest of the community, refuse to be vaccinated, which is their right, we can't just go out and find 10 to 15% of new drivers and replace the ones that we've lost. It can't happen that fast, and that would mean the freight won't arrive and you'll go to the shop and you won't be able to get things that you need or want.
The federal government is urging Queensland Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk to clarify her comments on vaccination. Queensland and WA may not reopen even if more than 70% of the adult population is fully vaccinated. Ms Palaszczuk claims the virus could still spread to children, but Treasurer Josh Frydenberg says the Premier is playing dangerous politics.
The severity of the illness in children is not what it is in older adults, and it's important that we provide people with hope that the lockdowns can end and that so many businesses in Queensland, particularly in the tourism sector, are able to get their customers back.
A 26-year-old Birdwood man is in hospital with a stab wound to the back. It follows a domestic dispute overnight. His injuries are not believed to be life-threatening. His 62-year-old father was arrested at the scene and charged with aggravated assault causing harm and will face court today. A frightening experience for a woman at Colonnade Shopping Centre this morning. She was using an ATM around 3:30 when a man with a kitchen knife threatened her and tried to steal cash and her car keys. She ran off but returned soon after, jumped in her car and drove off. Senior Constable Christina Phillipson says the man is still at large.
Multiple Southern District patrols arrived at the scene and conducted a search with the assistance of police dog Judge, but the suspect wasn't found, and so investigations are continuing there. And that suspect is described as being of Caucasian appearance with blue eyes. He's wearing a grey hoodie with a zip and he's got long black pants on.
A top US military leader says it remains to be seen whether the Taliban has changed since it last ruled Afghanistan. American troops have withdrawn from the country after 20 years, a decision made by President Joe Biden which sparked fierce criticism. The Taliban says it wants to have good relations with the international community as it prepares to unveil a new Afghan government. Defence Secretary Lloyd Austin says there are lessons to be learned from the mission.
This department will look back clearly and professionally and learn every lesson that we can. That's our way.
ITV and its programme Good Morning Britain has been cleared by the UK's media regulator of a breach of the broadcasting code over Piers Morgan's controversial comments about Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. Nine's UK correspondent Carrie-Anne Greenbank has more.
The UK's media regulator has cleared Good Morning Britain of a breach of the broadcasting code after Piers Morgan's controversial views on Meghan Markle after her interview with Oprah. Ofcom ruled that while his opinions were potentially harmful and offensive, they were part of a broader debate, and to restrict those views would be a chilling restriction on freedom of expression. Piers Morgan sparked almost 58,000 complaints to the regulator, including from the Duchess of Sussex herself, after saying he didn't believe a word she said when she spoke of racism in the royal family and having suicidal thoughts.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
You could win millions with the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. Visit homelottery.com.au.
New Collingwood coach Craig McRae says Justin Lepich is on the radar to form part of the revamped coaching group. The former teammates are friends, but McRae says it's not about recruiting his mates.
We'd love to speak to Leper and get the ball in motion to be able to bring him along, but I also made the point that I'm not looking to bring people in just because they're my mates. I'm making it really clear that we're going to get the best people available, and he's the best I've seen at defensive system, teaching young defenders. And so, in the short answer, yes, we'd love to chat to him.
To tennis, and Australia's Alexei Poprin is through to the third round at the US Open, his opponent Grigor Dimitrov retiring injured. Poprin is happy with the level of tennis he produced.
I put the pressure on him. I played some very solid points. I implemented the tactics that we put out in place really well. And then from then on, it was a high level match, really high level match from both of us. And like I said, I'm happy to get through it.
There have also been wins for Daniil Medvedev, Andrei Rublev, Victoria Azarenka, Simona Halep and Elena Svitolina. And Cristiano Ronaldo has set a new record for international goals scored. His double for Portugal in a 2-1 win over the Republic of Ireland in World Cup qualifying takes him to 111 goals in total for his country. Meantime, France and Bosnia drew 1-1. That's sport. Now checking 5AA traffic.
Is your BMW due for a service? Then book your service today at Glenelg BMW on Brighton Road.
Northfield slow going Grain Junction Road near Hampstead Road for works, affecting both directions, speeds at 40. Cowandilla slow and Marion Road near Sir Donald Brabham Drive for asphalt works, affecting both directions there. And Crafers and Stirling expect delays both directions on the freeway for works, speeds at 60, seeing delays outbound. Look out for cameras Hartley Road, Flinders Park and Marshall Terrace at Brooklyn Park. It's Telstra Day. Get up to 50% off a great range of products for one day only. Don't miss it. In-store today or shop online at telstra.com/Telstra Day. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Head to Foodland, Drake's or IGA for Nutrimate, a new dog roll loaded with healthy nutrients.
A forecast top of 30 today, becoming windy and partly cloudy. Early rain tomorrow down to 16. Saturday a shower or two, 16. Right now it's 24 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
It's been a while since we bought the house, and we love it. No thoughts of moving at all. But what about our mortgage? Could we get a better deal?
Well, you'll get a great variable rate, and you could get $3,000 cash back when you move your home loan to Westpac. Switching pays. Search Westpac Refinance or talk to a broker today. Apply by 31st August 21, settle by 30th November 21. LVR less than 90%, minimum loan size 250k. T's and C's exclusions and fees apply.
Great eye care starts with OPSM, and right now at OPSM, for a limited time, get 20% off lenses and lens extras. Choose from the latest new season designs in a wide range of leading brands like Ray-Ban, Prada, Oakley and Vogue. You're sure to find frames and innovative lenses that suit your unique look and lifestyle. OPSM also has dedicated and passionate optometrists and team members ready to help you with your eye care needs. So visit OPSM today and receive 20% off lenses and lens extras when purchased as part of a complete pair. Now this offer, it'll end on the 9th of September, a week from today. It's the 9th of September this offer ends. All health funds are welcome. There are T's and C's that apply. For store locations, visit opsm.com.au. That's OPSM, life focused.
Building a fence, shed, retaining wall and so much more requires good quality steel. At Knorr Metals, we've got you covered no matter what you need. From the home handyman to structural engineer, we have steel supplies to suit what you're looking for. And if we don't, we'll source it for you quickly and at the best price. Plus, we can cut your steel on site to meet your exact measurements. No matter what you need, you'll get it at Knorr Metals, 255 Grand Junction Road, Ottawa.
Don't miss Olympic Industries whatever the weather sale on now. Visit olympicindustries.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
10 after 8, we'll talk swooping magpies. You got a theory you want to test with an expert? You got a hot spot near you? A real troublemaker in the magpie community? Whatever it might well be. Call us on 8223 0000. You can chat directly with an expert very, very shortly. Then after 8:30, we'll talk with the Vice President of the Fans Association of the AFL, who's actually a Port fan based in Adelaide, who not just will represent the concerns of Port fans who'd love to get to the grand final, but is one of the Port fans who'd like to get to the grand final, who's recently seen that ticket prices have spiked from $400 as a standard Adelaide-Perth flight to $1,600 for the grand final weekend.
How can they justify it? Unbelievable.
And also, we're not noted for our flamboyant fashion choices on 5AA Breakfast, but the smartest and hottest pair of wheels on breakfast radio anywhere in Australia right now are being sported by David Penberthy, who's brought in the pink sneaks this morning.
They're not pink, they're blue.
What about the back? What about the back there, my friend?
They've got a little bit of pink on the back.
Well, live stream, folks.
Had some terrible
5AA Facebook or YouTube live stream. Hold them up. Hold up the wheels.
Okay,
give people a sign.
Here we go.
Look, this requires some. Oh, that's a view I didn't need to see.
They're blue.
Yeah.
They've just got a little bit of pink suede on the back.
I think they are sharp. They are sharp.
Getting some
set.
Terrible workplace harassment.
No, I think people are encouraging. It's a real.
Andy said to me earlier, "Nice shoes, mate. Do they make them for men?"
11.
Lucy likes them a lot.
Yeah, she's
although,
actually...
as Andy said, that's probably because she's got a pair too. Hey, I'm comfortable with who I am.
I think that's excellent.
Comfortable in my own skin.
I'm proud of you, mate.
Yeah.
It's 11 after 8. 8223 is our number. You can text us on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line. We've got the serious business of breaking it 8 coming up.
Never come in here wearing a skivvy. That's for sure.
See, I'm coming from a long way back. So anything that can help me out, I'm going to pillory you about. This is disturbing out of Victoria, 176 new cases. So that is growth at the rate that we saw in New South Wales.
They got to 100 cases faster than New South Wales did.
Yeah. And it seems it's not slowing, is it?
No.
Well,
right. I think that's why Dan Andrews said what he said yesterday and is now trying to turn the ship around.
Yeah.
You know, we have to live with it.
It's time for Breaking It 8.
Not one, but two breakings at 8. Breaking at 8 for you this morning. I'll go first, and we'll round it out with a really interesting one. This is good news. We understand that later today, the Marshall government is going to be announcing a major new campaign to drive visitation and expenditure into South Australia, but particularly to Adelaide and especially into the CBD. Now, a big part of this is that there's going to be some sort of enticement or incentive or some sort of push to get CBD workers back into offices and to pull back on working from home. We've spoken a lot to different people, particularly to Lord Mayor Sandy Verschoor, about the impact that this is having. You know, just by looking around town, you see even things like getting a park in the city at the moment, like or getting served at a cafe.
Yeah.
Like, you know, all of these... well, I went to the Central Market last Thursday afternoon at 4 p.m. with the kids, and, you know, you could have fired a cannon through the place. And normally it's like bustling all day on a Friday. We need to get more people back into the city. And given the good job we've done with COVID as well, fingers crossed, touch wood, the idea that we can have any sort of incentive to get people here, part of this comes on the back of the successful Great State vouchers and so on, but watch this space, there's going to be more on that today.
There was a moment in the COVID press conference yesterday fronted by Professor Nicola Spurrier that really raised concern in a couple of suburbs around Adelaide, probably in fact most of them, but two in particular in this Salisbury and Christie's Beach area. They were identified in the press conference as areas where there'd been found to be COVID in the wastewater. Now, wastewater analysis, we know out of the experience in New South Wales, has been quite useful at times in saying there are outbreaks in places before they had found positive tests. And it's one of the markers that SA Health look at in determining risk and trying to get a sense of the COVID picture here in South Australia. So it was particularly concerning to hear that was the case. She said there would be some further testing to be done on those. And you may have noted in our chat with the Premier, Stephen Marshall, earlier, he said those tests have come back negative. Well, it wasn't just the concern of South Australian residents yesterday when that utterance was made in the press conference. There was concern by people who had been similarly briefed to Nicola Spurrier about the situation with regard to wastewater testing, and 5AA Breakfast has cited the official briefing material that both Nicola Spurrier received and other people that are party to these sorts of decisions and announcements. And I'll read directly from it. It says, we received 2 presumptive positive tests yesterday from the BO4 catchment in Salisbury and CO3 catchment in Christie's Beach. Both catchments have now returned negative results. At the time of the press conference, the official advice to Nicola Spurrier was that those tests were, in fact, negative. Now, a million of these press conferences have been done. This is the first time I'm aware there's been a factual inaccuracy in them or something that hasn't been right. But with the problem is...
Did she just misread it? Is that...
That would be, I think, the most obvious explanation. The problem is, and the concern is among people who get these briefings and make these decisions and determinations, we can't abide factual inaccuracies. We're just not in an environment where people can have anything but 100% faith that these are evidence-based decisions that are being taken by the people that are running the state at the moment, and they get this right. This is a fundamental fact. This is something that would have concerned a lot of people yesterday when it was said, and this is the sort of stuff that leads people to think there's going to be a lockdown imminent. Well, there isn't, and there won't be, on the basis of at very least this, because the actual briefing said they were tested, it was presumptive, and it came back negative.
Is this one of those stories? I know Andrew Huff at the Tiser...
He alluded to it in his reporting
this morning. He alluded
to
it this morning, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Will. The fact that you know what the briefing note said suggests to me that there's people who are troubled by the extent to which so many of these massive decisions are being led by Professor Spurrier.
I think there's a lot of people that get this information before these announcements get made, and I think this is the first time they've all looked at each other and gone, "What?" And we can't have those moments. Everyone who's watching that stuff and makes decisions based on it needs to know it is 100% right.
Yeah.
Now, there's another explanation here, because all I can tell you is that the briefing note says that was not right. If the briefing material was wrong, and maybe Nicola Spurrier knew the full picture and there had been subsequent testing done, well, that means that there's a whole host of other people that are really important and part of the decision-making process who had the wrong information. So that's concerning too. So there was a breakdown somewhere here. Something didn't quite go according to plan, and perhaps unnecessarily a lot of people were alarmed about it yesterday.
The good outtake from it is that we don't need to be quite as alarmed as we were this time 12 hours ago.
Exactly right.
That's very interesting.
It is.
Very interesting in the context of how we get out of things too, isn't it?
Yeah.
The extent to which what looks like, by interstate standards, a total trifle could become the thing that it did.
That's exactly right. 18 minutes after 7. Let's check traffic. Is your BMW due for a service? Then book your service today at Glenelg BMW on Brighton Road.
At Torrens Park, at a 4-car collision, Springbank Road and Kays Road. Crafers and Stirling expect delays in both directions on the freeway for work. Speeds are at 60, seeing delays outbound. Woodville Park also slow going there. Port Road between Kilkenny Road and Woodville Road for work. Speeds down to 40. And busy on the drive in Holbrooks Road, Hartley Road to Grange Road. Look out for cameras, Edinburgh Road, Edinburgh and Great Terrace at Rosewater. Get more for Dad this Father's Day at Anaconda. June 3x3 Deluxe Gazebo, only $149. Anaconda's Father's Day sale is on now. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Rowie Sport Show.
Craig McRae is Collingwood's new coach, a former teammate of my next guest, Jason Ackermanis. Acker, welcome.
A couple of weeks ago, I had a mate of mine, you'll love this, Rowie. He said, Fly's got the job. He's a pretty good insider. So I text Fly, I said, hey mate, congratulations. He's like, for what? I said, well, you got the Pies job.
4 p.m. weekdays.
And he goes, mate, they haven't even told me. They're not going to tell me in a couple of weeks. I said, oh, sorry mate, well, act surprised. So, you know.
Rowie Sport Show on 5AA.
You could easily be living the life, but you'll need to be quick. The 19th at West is selling premium 2, 3 and 4 bedroom architecturally designed homes from just $730K. Stunning homes with a stunning lifestyle. Explore West's green pathways, paddle on the iconic lake, swim at Grange Beach, or play around at the Grange Golf Club. Start building now and move in next year. Hurry, from $730K, they'll sell fast. Visit the19thwest.com.au.
Spring into a new kitchen with You Install It Spring Sale and get up to 25% off cabinets this month only. Stop dreaming and start renovating. Custom-sized and pre-assembled cabinetry means big savings without compromising on quality and style. Do it now. Plan your perfect kitchen with our 3D design planner online. Search You Install It or visit our showrooms at Modbury, Glandore, Norwood, Lonsdale and Churchill Centre. You Install It Kitchens, the complete DIY kitchen solution. Conditions apply.
If the thought of this as a job drives you crazy, you might want a job like this. Here's Chris from ASIC Careers to tell you how.
Thanks, Rowie. ASIC Careers is growing, and we need more drivers to keep our promise of perfect service. So if you want a career that takes you places, get in touch with ASIC Couriers. Don't send it, ace it.
Guess what? Sleeping Duck is not a saggy foam only mattress, but is supported by twice tempered steel springs. That's why I put the Sleeping Duck springs to the test against a 15-ton steamroller. Check it out at mattresstesting.com.
Whether a hobby or a full-blown dairy and livestock farm, they all have one thing in common: the need for good quality steel to keep livestock safe and secure. At Knorr Metals, we have just that. From rural fencing and gates to droppers, loading ramps and more, you'll find what you need for your farm. And if we don't, we'll source it for you quickly and at the best price. No matter what kind of farm you have, we'll help you out. At Knorr Metals, 255 Grand Junction Road, Ottaway.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
For veranda sheds, garages or carports, don't miss Olympic Industries Whatever the Weather sale on now. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
21 minutes after 8, 8223 is that number. You can text us on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line. Lots of those coming in.
Great one here from Rob. Relax, Pembo. Pink is the new white. I'm running with that one, Rob.
I thought you said they were blue.
The skivvy. You wore one of those wonderful Peter Shearer pink shirts, didn't you? With one of
I think it was salmon, wasn't it?
Oh, salmon. That's even worse than pink. Salmon. Oh, that's superb.
That's
more of
that, can't we?
More of a burgundy. At least I've only got a little flourish of pink suede on me. I haven't gone full shirt.
No. Oh, I'm not going to make it. I never made a habit of it. We'll see how many times those sneakers make a return.
Oh, they're going to be here every day for the next 6 months.
What did you make of this story? Now, I reckon there's probably people sitting with some of this in their shed at the moment. According to the Tiser this morning, a former Australian diplomat and specialist in Asian politics has urged an Adelaide Hills fertilizer manufacturer to change the name of one of its products because of brazenly racist connotations. This is the Who Flung Dung product that that has been put out by Nutrog. The person who's flagged the concern is an academic who specialises in Asian politics and who's made the point that it was an anti-Chinese insult that was common during the White Australia period. Now, I've got to confess, not being around in that period, David, I wasn't familiar with the Who Flung Dung. I knew it just as the fertilizer, frankly.
Well, it's a make-believe name for a person of Asian extraction, I guess.
And he makes the
if
point...
you want to be, I would say, hugely pedantic and really, make a mountain out of a dunghill and really go pro sweating the small stuff, you might find yourself in a position where you argue that a bag of manure is tantamount to a hate crime.
Yeah.
Seriously? I don't know. I've got that stuff. It's great. They do a good job neutral. Who Flung Dung is cracking manure.
Because it feels like, if anything, it feels like...
It's just a play on words.
Exactly. If it was misappropriated at all, it was done so because they sell dung, not because it's... Like, there's nothing inherently Chinese about the product. There's no link there. So I don't think there's any intent or even mischief. There's no mischief here. These are people that have just done it because it's...
You know what's interesting, though, in the story? Because Bunnings sell it.
Yeah.
And this is an indication of how paranoid big corporations are these days about even the faintest whiff that they're indifferent to, inclusivity. Bunnings said straight up, we support, a tolerant and supportive workplace. It sounds like Bunnings are sort of instinctively gone, well, all right, let's have a bit like Nestle did with the Coon cheese / Geo cheese.
See, I struggle where to draw the line on all this stuff, and actually I find the whole debate at times tedious. Like, Coon was a name, so I just struggle to get my head around that one. The all-white...
I think I didn't lose too much sleep over the Coon one because that word is horrible. It's a derivation of raccoon. It's based on the old black and white minstrel entertainment and the fact that it's the guy's surname. I mean, if
so does he have to change his name?
Well,
does anyone in that family have to change their name? Can they never name a business after themselves?
So hypothetically, you called Mr. Dumb White Bastard and you invented a packet of cheese.
Is
and every
anyone?
time you go, well, what if he was called the N-word?
If he was John Honky, but is anyone?
John Honky.
Right? So
John Honky, the cheese
so this is the thing. I listen to an argument where you draw the line. I think like the All Whites, the New Zealand soccer team, not being able to be called that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. All their teams are named after the colour of the tops.
Have they gone ahead with that?
Well, it's that they're currently reviewing.
Well, okay.
They're reviewing the name.
Logic would suggest you'd have to change the name of the All Blacks too. Or is it more of an issue with white because white is power, privilege, ruling elite?
These things are all meant to be a reflection on historical crime.
This is where, can I just quickly read you something? And this isn't made up. This is not a made up story. This is one of those things that makes me think, my God. So this happened in the United States yesterday, Madison, Wisconsin. The University of Wisconsin removed a large boulder from its Madison campus on Friday at the request of minority students who view this rock as a symbol of racism. Chamberlain Rock on the top of Observatory Hill is named after Thomas Crowder Chamberlain, a geologist, former university president. But students of colour on campus say the rock represents a history of discrimination, and this is because the boulder was referred to by a derogatory nickname for black people in a story in the Wisconsin State Journal in 1925. So this rock, which is a huge piece of volcanic rock, it's like a monolithic structure. Because my understanding is it was known as N-word rock for a period, almost a century ago. But setting all that aside, it's just a rock. And no one's called it that for a century. But so they've moved it. They brought in a crane and they've moved it away to a safe space. And this quote from the campus representative, Juliana Bennett, the wording of this just strikes me as the most sort of snowflakish nonsense. It says, "This moment is about the students, past and present, that relentlessly advocated for the removal of this racist monument. Now is a moment for all of us to breathe a sigh of relief, to be proud of our endurance, and to begin healing."
See, this is the thing, and this takes back to
Because of a rock.
the most interesting part of that Bunnings story, and I reckon probably the most interesting part of the Taylor Walker story. The Bunnings story is there were staff working at Bunnings saying they felt uncomfortable. It's you and I will sit here and have this debate and be in fierce agreement. I reckon 99.9% of our listeners will be in fierce agreement with us. There's a younger cohort of people who would find the whole tenor of this discussion repugnant, and they are super sensitive to all this kind of stuff and see it totally differently. Totally differently. And this is where...
There'll be no language left, though, with all of this. I mean, if you talk about a political party has policy schizophrenia, or if you talk about an idea that's stillborn, or even the point where we say, well, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Can't do it.
Isn't the term crazy derogatory to anybody who's ever had a mental illness?
I think there will be people that say that now.
Well, let's just never talk about anything.
The reason I make that point, Andrew in Rosedale sent us a text on the Telstra Storm Barker text line going, this is the problem with academics. I think it's a generational thing. And now maybe your argument was it started in universities, maybe, but there's a younger cohort of people that have a totally different standard and belief when it comes to the use of language and words, and the moment any offence is identified, they should be retired from the language. And I think that makes it a much more difficult discussion about how we treat these issues in future, when it's not some external force telling everyone this is wrong and everyone resisting it. The forces from within our own society. It's a generational thing.
Seems to be an excuse for actually worrying about tougher problems, in my mind.
Frankly, I think a lot of it's performative, and because it gets you likes on Twitter. Mark's got a traffic thought. Morning to you, Mark.
Yeah, g'day, guys. How you going?
Good, thanks, mate.
Thought I'd let you know that there's a 5-car prang out on Main North Road heading towards town out at Salisbury between Clayson and Kings Road, down to one lane heading to town, and traffic's building up big time.
Cracking detail, Mark. Thank you for that, mate.
That's great. Thank you for that. Appreciate it, Mark.
Good on you, folks.
Let's check the fuel situation. Is your BMW due for a service? Then book your service today at Gleilg BMW on Brighton Road. The fuel situation is sort of low $30s is broadly what we're seeing. $1.28 up North East Road through Hillcrest. $1.32 on the corner of Chief Street and Torrens Road in Ovingham. $1.34 at the OTR at the Pasadena Shopping Centre, and $1.31 at Park Avenue in Aberfoyle Park.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Becoming windy and partly cloudy 30 today with the 8:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Woken with a stiff neck or sore back? Get a Physio Extra appointment today. 6 locations, physioextra.com.
More COVID exposure sites have been identified in SA. They're linked to recent visits from interstate truck drivers. 2 of the new locations are in the metro area, Highway Truck Accessories and the BP at Wingfield. Meantime, there's clarification this morning that COVID has not been detected in any local wastewater. The COVID outbreak across the border is growing. Victoria has recorded 176 new local cases in the past 24 hours. 83 are linked to known outbreaks. There are now more than 1,000 active cases across that state. There's increasing concern about other states going their own way and opening up despite high numbers. But Premier Stephen Marshall says SA will stay the course.
We've listened to the experts, the evidence, the science, medicine since day one here in South Australia. I think it's put us in really good stead. And what it's showing to us is that the Delta strain is very different from what we had last year. So you can imagine if it was left unchecked. And so if you're not going to use lockdowns, you've got to have higher vaccination rates. That's what we're committed to in South Australia.
Federal Labor is trying to distance itself from comments made by Queensland Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk. Ms Palaszczuk may not reopen the state even after more than 70% of the adult population has been fully vaccinated. The Premier argues it would leave children under 12 vulnerable to the virus. New restrictions on abortions come into effect in the US state of Texas today. Nine's Michael Genovese has more.
President Joe Biden has labelled the law outrageous. It allows any private citizen in Texas to sue a doctor who performs an abortion beyond the 6-week mark in a pregnancy. Family and friends who help arrange the procedure can also be sued.
It is incentivizing bounty hunters to go out and find people who are performing abortions.
Opponents say the change will outlaw 85% of abortions in Texas.
A man has been arrested after a serious domestic assault in the Hills last night. Senior Constable Christina Phillipson says patrols were called to a Birdwood home after reports of a violent altercation.
They found a 26-year-old man with a stab wound to the back. He was taken by ambulance to the Royal Adelaide Hospital and his injuries are not believed to be life-threatening. The injured man's father, a 62-year-old Birdwood man, was arrested at the scene and charged with aggravated assault cause harm.
He'll face court today. A report has found air pollution in India is so bad it can wipe 9 years off a person's life. The report by the Energy Policy Institute has found 480 million people in northern India face the most extreme levels of air pollution in the world. Strong clean air policies can add up to 5 years to people's lives. Now turning to FIVEaa Sport.
Win a $3 million grand prize on South Brighton Esplanade with the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery.
It's another day off for the Port Adelaide playing group before they get to work ahead of their prelim final. They'll play the winner of Saturday night's game between the Western Bulldogs and Brisbane. Connor Rosie telling Rowie they're feeling good.
We've definitely put ourselves in a position to hopefully go all the way. We've done everything right so far, so hopefully 2 more games, and we can't wait to get back in front of that home crowd and hopefully crowd capacity can maybe go up a little bit more, but even if it doesn't, they're bloody loud anyway. It'd be nice to get back to Adelaide again.
Former Collingwood president Eddie McGuire says Craig McRae is the sort of coach the club needs. The 47-year-old is taking on the role, signing a 3-year deal after spending 15 years in assistant coaching and development roles. McGuire says McRae is the perfect choice.
Build a young list. He's been a tremendous teacher of young men. He got a bloke guy called Mason Cox and taught him how to actually hold and kick a football when he first came over from America, but he's done great things, and I'm really confident that the panel they're putting together will start getting the new look Collingwood going forward next year.
Aussie Alexi Poprin has advanced to the 3rd round at the US Open, and marksman Christopher Pitt kicks off the action for Australia on day 9 of the Paralympics in Tokyo. That's sport. Now checking FIVEaa traffic.
Glenelg BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Drop in and see Adelaide's newest home for BMW.
At Salisbury East, got a 5-car accident on Main North Road at Clayson Road. Torrance Park, 4-car collision, Springbank Road and Kays Road. And Crafers and Stirling expect delays in both directions. It's on the freeway for work. Speeds are at 60, seeing delays outbound. Busy Marion Road, Passmore Street to Sir Donald Brabham Drive, with cameras Anglevale Road, Anglevale, and Days Road at Ferreton Park. More great specials at Foodland. Australian blueberries, 125 gram punnets, 2 for $5 or just $2.75 each. Hurry, ends tomorrow at Foodland, the mighty South Aussies. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on FIVEaa.
Now the FIVEaa forecast.
Head to Foodland, Drake's or IGA for Nutrimate, a new dog roll loaded with healthy nutrients.
Becoming windy, partly cloudy, but a top of 30 degrees today. But it's not going to last the heat. Early rain tomorrow 16, Saturday a shower or 2, 16 as well. Right now it's 25 degrees. More news as it happens on FIVEaa.
Everyone's built differently, so why shouldn't our beds be? At RB Day & Sons Supercraft Bedding, we supply a wide range of electrically adjustable beds and manufacture tailor-made mattresses. As an accredited NDIS provider, we regularly work with the healthcare, disability and aged care sectors to provide sleeping solutions to meet every Aussie's needs. Call or email today for a chat or to book a one-on-one appointment with us at supercraft.com.au. RB Day & Sons Supercraft Bedding. Building better beds.
Check out this hot weekend getaway to Uluru from NT Now. Private jet charter, flying Adelaide to Uluru direct. Accommodation with daily breakfast, fully hosted. 3 days and 2 nights touring around Uluru. And a stack of other memorable experiences. Uluru by private jet, departing Friday, October 22. Hurry, it's selling fast. Seats are limited from just $2,269 per person. Search NT Now or book online at ntnow.com.au.
Hello, it's Matthew Pantelis here to tell you all about the new FIVEaa app. You can now listen to all your favourite FIVEaa shows with the FIVEaa player. That is some great news. Speaking of news, you can also stay up to date with the very latest news from the FIVEaa newsroom whenever you want. The new FIVEaa player app gives you the best of everything. Listen to all your favourite FIVEaa shows and podcasts wherever you go, and it is absolutely free. Download it now from the App Store.
The FIVEaa player.
How far would you go for your dream kitchen? And how far would you go to get 25% off? How about 15 minutes up the freeway to Balhanna Kitchens by Design? 2, the largest showroom in the Adelaide Hills. Custom build your dream with our award-winning designers. And get 25% off your cabinets with laminate bench tops. For a limited time, of course. Balhanna Kitchens by Design. It's not too far to go to make your dream a reality. balhannakitchens.com.au.
This Remember September, you choose the challenge. Give it up or move it. Choose to move it and you'll walk 63 Ks over the month. Easy, right? It's free to enter and you'll be helping Pankind help fund life-saving pancreatic cancer research. Connect with workmates, friends or family no matter where they are. Remember September, a way to honour someone lost to pancreatic cancer or stand with those fighting the disease. Register now at rememberseptember.org.au.
Hi, Malcolm Blight here. You'll love the way they do business at Knoll's Caravans with 4.5 decades of experience. Knoll is proud to present their exclusive range of Island Star caravans. Visit their beautifully presented yard and talk to Knoll's friendly staff about your personal needs. They can custom build your caravan at Knoll's Island Star Caravans, 561 Salisbury Highway, Greenfields, opposite Mawson Lakes, serving Australia since 1974.
Knowles Caravans, Knowles Caravans, Knowles Caravans, Knowles Caravans.
For verandas, sheds, garages or carports, don't miss Olympic Industries Whatever the Weather sale on now. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
22 minutes to 9. Are you a Port fan that's had a little gander at the price of flights to Perth? Maybe you got really optimistic and thought, form's good, prelim finals here at home, grand finals likely, I want to book tickets, and you jumped online and you got them. What price did you get them at? We'd love to hear from you. 8223 0000. Some concern about the price spikes that we get, and this comes up at this time of year all the time, but it doesn't make it any more fair. $400 is what it would usually cost to go from Perth to Adelaide. If you try to book around grand final weekend now, $1,600. Becomes an expensive weekend if you're a Port fan wanting to see your team play in the grand final. You'd be looking. Well, I'm guessing hotel costs probably go up as well. So you're probably at $3,000, $4,000, all things considered.
Oh yeah,
I would have thought.
What's the justification for it?
Oh, scarcity, I guess.
But it's no extra cost to the airline. They're making more money. Because more people want to fly. So.
Yeah,
it's unconscionable.
It is. 8223 0000. You can text us on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text. I'd love to hear from your Port fans what your experience has been. If you thought, I mean, I know I'm not even a Port person, but there's something uncomfortable about the jinx element of already talking about booking grand final flights.
Yeah,
I know.
Totally. We've got to be prepared.
But if you've done it, we'd love to hear from you. Justin Leckie is the vice president of the AFL Fans Association, and Justin, my understanding is you're a Port man.
That's right, David. I've been a member for 34 years now.
And where are you based, mate? Are you in Adelaide or are you in Melbourne? Or?
No, I'm one on the committee that's actually based in South Australia. The association commenced in Victoria, but they have reps in every state as well. So I'm in good old Adelaide.
Have you had any sort of feedback, or are you in a position to shed any light on what the justification is for this huge increase? I mean, it just looks like straight out old-fashioned gouging, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, look, we do recognise that the airlines have been doing it pretty tough during the pandemic, but just as many fans have been doing as well with work employment conditions. So
yeah,
look, I'm an accountant for the public service, and I understand the demand and supply argument, but I think there needs to be a fair balance there, and it'd be extremely disappointing if airlines excessively raise prices just for the sake of doing it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Drew, my estimate for the cost of the weekend was about right. What do you think it'd be to get there as a fan?
Well, look, I was one of the lucky ones that sort of read the temperature of the room and saw the way things were going. I'm actually going over to Perth, coincidentally, on the Sunday after the grand final to play oldies football, the over-35s league. So I was there for the following week anyway, flying out on the Sunday. I was hoping to get to the MCG on the Saturday and then scoot back to Adelaide, get on the plane to Perth, but I thought I'd take a bit of an insurance policy and booked a flight out on the Friday afternoon about 2 weeks ago and was lucky to get it for a very good price.
Oh, well.
But yeah, now I'm hearing $1,600 return or more.
Hey, wearing your non-Port hat, Justin, if you can disentangle yourself from your lifelong love of Port.
I'll try.
What's the situation for Melbourne fans? Because my understanding, McGowan, I mean, he's told Eddie McGuire he's not welcome, but beyond that, there's a hard border in place from WA to Victoria. So is there a chance that, like, Port fans could massively outnumber Melbourne fans over there?
Well, look, you don't want to tempt the footy gods of who we're going to play or if we're even going to get there. But yes, my understanding from my over-35s football is that only very low-risk states are being let into WA. So at this stage, SA, Tasmania, Northern Territory are definitely playing. Queensland, I think, are likely, if the direction's going in the right direction, to be allowed in as well. But New South Wales has already pulled out of the competition. They're deemed extreme risk. They'll have a hard border. And I think Victoria's medium last time I checked, but with the increasing daily instances of COVID.
176 new cases announced half an hour ago. They're rocketing towards New South Wales levels.
Exactly. They're not going to go from medium to low to very low in that time frame. I'm no health expert, and we need to follow health experts' advice, but I would say anyone from Victoria would find it almost impossible to get across unless they're a sports journalist.
So, do we know much about the apportioning of how many tickets there'll be for actual fans and not sort of, corporate periwinkles?
No, and that's something I know exactly where you're coming from, because I think grassroots fans deserve to be there, but it's a balancing act for the AFL as well to maximise support for the game and financial concerns. Traditionally at the MCG, it's about 17,500 to 18,000 thereabouts for each competing club. Obviously, last year I was lucky enough to get to Brisbane as well. I booked my flights the same way, and the footy gods were not merciful to Port Adelaide, so I went to an independent grand final. But I think from the 50,000, they did increase it to something like 28,000, 30,000, which was a greater ratio or proportion, but still a substantial number of non-supporting club members that attended the Geelong versus Richmond game.
So is it going to be, do you think it'll be higher this year, or do we not know yet?
Look, I would like to think that the ratio last year, which was greater than history before COVID, pre-COVID, I'd like to see that ratio maintained. And I think WA has a slightly larger capacity. I think it's 60-something thousand compared to 50. So I would like to see at least 30,000 competing club members allocated tickets, which will not go around for all club members, especially if a whole raft of Adelaide or Tasmanian or Northern Territory people got on a plane to get to Perth.
Can I ask you, mate? I mean, even though Melbourne are sort of massively rated to win the prelim and make the grand final, do you think it's a missed opportunity and a pity for Port in the scenario that Port, who weren't minor premiers, I mean Melbourne were, so you'd say if they could have played at the MCG, it would have been fine. But we might have a situation where we had a chance to have one of the sides that's in the grand final potentially in Port playing a grand final here in Adelaide. Do you think it's sad that thought wasn't given to using these weird circumstances as an opportunity to do that for Port people?
Look, I, as a Port supporter, putting my Port hat on, I would have loved to see it at Adelaide Oval. Port Adelaide's played many a premiership at Adelaide Oval, the last winning one, 1965 at Adelaide Oval, so it would have been great, but there's a lot of things that have to be balanced. Health has to come first, the games, sustainability, I understand that, but yes, I'm disappointed. It's probably all things going well with COVID, probably the last year that it will be outside of Melbourne. They've got a contract for how many years into the 2050s? But,
59 now.
Yep, every year they get a little recompense, but that's understandable. I would love to have it here, but being a Port supporter will play anyone, anywhere.
Yeah, good on you, Justin. Thank you. Justin Leckie, the Vice President of the AFL Fans Association. Paul in Mount Barker's called in. Morning, Paul.
Morning, how are you?
Good, mate.
Good, thanks, mate.
I had a look at pricing last night, and Virgin return was $8.10 at the moment for ground to leave on grand final day, come home on the Sunday. Accommodation we've booked already for in the mid-4s. That has jumped up significantly, and that's nowhere special. That's just a motel and a walking distance from the ground.
Is that mid-4 a night, Paul? Can I ask?
One night, absolutely.
At a motel.
Yep.
Yikes.
Yep, at a motel, and then you're looking at whatever the grand final tickets will be. I'm a Cat 1 member, so not sure yet. Although they have said they're frozen prices, I believe that's only for the finals up to the grand final. They haven't announced grand final ticket pricing yet, but it's you could still get out of it, I think, at the moment if you went with Virgin for around 1,700 return without any spending money. Yep. And with Qantas, you're around $2,000.
Yeah. Paul, that's great information, mate. Thank you for that. In fact, we just had Andy and Lucy run it through Skyscanner They say there's a return flight, fly over on Friday, fly back Monday for $750 right now. That's on Virgin as well. We got to text from Vince on the Telstra Stormont Barker text line saying, got mine at $900 for 2, return before the qualifying final. And it says, but there may be flights offered by the club. And you know what? It's a great point Vince makes. Not just the club. We've seen how this plays in previous years. They'll put on another flight. They'll put on another flight.
Oh, yeah.
Closer to the date.
For sure.
So they'll sell the last remaining seats at a premium right now, and then it'll be a mad scramble to get over there. Rob's got an idea. I'm not sure this is COVID safe. Rob says, don't fly to Perth. Lots of trucks available passing through SA. I guess you could...
That's right. You go and via Port Augusta and Ceduna to make sure you use your QR codes at the on the run there.
Right, let's check traffic. Is your BMW due for a service? Well, then book your service today. Glenelg BMW on Brighton Road.
At Salisbury East, got a 5-car accident on Main North Road at Clayson Road. Torrance Park, 4-car collision, Springbank Road and Kays Road. And Crafers and Stirling expect delays in both directions on the freeway for work. Speeds are at 60, seeing delays outbound. Busy Cross Road, Winifred Avenue to South Road. And cameras this morning, Anglevale Road, Anglevale, Days Road, Ferreton Park and Grand Junction Road at Rosewater. The King Art of Living sale ends soon. Save on the best in Australian design indoor and outdoor furniture. Visit the King Keswick showroom or shop online today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Are you nuts about your dad? What better way to show him this Father's Day than with something he loves from Charlesworth Nuts? G'day, I'm Brett Charlesworth and we have over 50 different handmade gifts filled with his favourite nuts and chocolates. We have amazing gift hampers, gift baskets and gift bags, any of which will make you the absolute favourite. Go nuts in our online shop right now or visit one of our 11 family-owned stores. And thank you, South Australia. We really appreciate your support. Why Charlesworth? Because fresh nuts taste better.
G'day, Scotty Cam here. Like to win a Weber Family Q? Mitre 10's got 4 to give away this Father's Day. Just make a purchase of $50 or more and you're in it to win it. Plus, if you're a Mighty Rewards member, you'll get a bonus entry with every purchase. And if you're not a Mighty Rewards member, no worries. Join for free when you make your purchase and you'll automatically get your bonus entry. Too easy. That's mighty helpful, Mitre 10. Conditions apply. See in store for details.
The Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery has been changing lives for 18 years. Now, we've taken it to a whole new level with a $3 million grand prize. A Scott Salisbury home on the Esplanade. If there's a home you want to win this year, it's this one. With $1 million in bonus prizes and $1 million early bird prize. There's more big winners than ever before. Join the fight. homelottery.com.au. Licence M14053.
CMAX Clinical Research are calling all healthy adults aged 18 to 65. An exciting opportunity to contribute to medical research and trial a potential treatment for dementia is right here in Adelaide. Stay at CMAX for 7 consecutive nights and days and an additional 1-night stay and help pave the future of modern medicine. All eligible participants are paid for their time. You might be eligible if you are in good general health and not taking any medications other than contraception. Interested? Apply for CM5421 at cmax.com.au. That's CMAX.com.au.
No one likes to wait, especially if you're waiting for something really amazing, like a new Mazda. Lucky, you won't have to wait too long at Mawson Lakes Mazda. Right now, you'll find new stock and demos right across the range, which means there's no compromise. You'll get everything you want and love in your new Mazda. Get behind the wheel of your dream Mazda sooner. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
Don't miss Olympic Industries Whatever the Weather sale on now. Visit olympicindustries.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
9 minutes to 9. Don in Rostrev's called in. What is you, Don?
Good morning, guys. A friend of mine booked a flight on Thursday before the game last Friday night. He got 4:44 return with Virgin, but that's leaving Thursday, coming back Monday. And then myself, I booked a flight on the Saturday morning after the game Friday night, and I got the same leaving Thursday, coming back Monday at 5:60. But evidently, as everyone has said, they've gone through the roof since then.
Yeah, it sounds like you were lucky. You're the early bird that caught the worm there, Don.
I was early bird last year as well, Will, and obviously we didn't go to Brisbane, but I had a credit, so I had to use it anyway. So I thought, why not? Otherwise,
So you win
I'm gonna
anyway?
lose that credit. Yeah.
Who played last year? Geelong, Richmond.
When Port lost to Richmond in the prelim,
Yeah.
us Port supporters were early birds then as well. But as in the end, we didn't win it, so we didn't end up going.
You got
We had a credit for 12 months.
Have you got a good feeling about things this year, Don?
Absolutely, I think they're in much better form. They're well structured. The defence is amazing. I think we're looking. Whoever we play, I think it's going to be a magnificent night. I think we're in good shape to make the GF.
Yeah,
I got a very uneasy feeling. You're 100% correct, Don. In all seriousness, though, mate, good luck to you.
Yeah, good on you, mate.
I want my Port mates who love Port to be happy.
Do you?
Well, I don't know. Actually, it's an interesting question.
Do they want you to be
fans,
happy?
How are you mentally? How equipped are you to deal? What's your strategy? Okay. Everyone's saying it's going to be a Port v Melbourne grand final. I'd almost put my house on that happening. You watching the game?
I reckon Port fans watched Crows Richmond, and you know how I know that? Because they like to remind us about it. So I think Crows fans will watch.
Who do they barrack for?
Melbourne?
See, I just can't bring myself to do that. I'm
Oh,
not going to barrack for anyone on the day as a Crows fan. I'm not going to barrack for a joke Melbourne-based propped up club with hardly any fans like Melbourne. If you were going to get Tassie into the competition, I reckon you just say, if the AFL was not the VFL, they'd say, listen, you know, most people who barrack for Melbourne aren't here to see the grand final because they've been lying low during COVID in the south of France. If there's a side that should get kicked out of the AFL to make way for a Tassie side, it's probably Melbourne.
Are you trying to talk? Who are you trying to talk into going for Port here? You? Is
I'm
this an audience
I'm
of
not
one?
going for them.
You sounded to me like you just spent a minute justifying your
There's all these mendicant, can-rattling, busted clubs like North Melbourne, St Kilda. Like, seriously. Far too many Victorian sides in the AFL. My South Australian patriotism trumps, or does not trump the anti-Victorian hostility that I have. We're very different people, aren't we?
I'm just committed to facts on this program, and Port did receive a handout last year too. So. It's time to go behind closed doors, thanks to... I'm just saying, in the interest of balance.
Right.
I'm just saying, if your basis is who needs financial support, I think it's very likely.
No, Port have got mass public support here in South Australia, whether we like it or not. They don't have fair weather bandwagon jumping fans like those Victorian clubs I just mentioned. Well, they haven't for a while at least. Anyway,
Aussie Fast Transport Solutions.
I don't know if I'm going to watch it.
Interstate Freight Distribution, Warehousing and Local Adelaide Couriers. Call Aussie Fast 13 13 64.
And when we get behind closed...
13.95 Adelaide's 5AA. This is the Saturday Sports Show. KG and Cornsey.
Welcome back, folks, to the Saturday Sports Show. Graham Corns with you and the great man.
No, come on, don't start that stuff, Stanley. Fire up, son.
I'm fired up. How are you, KG?
Well, Stanley, I'm a little bit worried about my prostate.
Worried about your prostate?
Yes, I'm going to the doctor next week.
Yeah, it is important for men if they're over 40 to have a regular checkup.
Checkup, yes, very important, Stanley. I'm going to ask my doctor to check and see if anything's up.
Do you know how they check your prostate, Ken?
Well, I've got an idea, Stanley. There's a blood test.
Yes, but you need the blood test and the digital examination as well.
Yes, it's good, isn't it? Modern technology, Stanley. 5AA is digital too.
No, it's different.
Yeah, well, it's much clearer.
No, the digital exam.
You don't get any interference at all. It's my understanding, which is good, Stanley, because I don't like to be at the doctor longer than is absolutely necessary, Stanley.
No, Ken.
I love technology, Stanley. When it makes life easier. I bought a digital radio just the other day.
So why are you worried about your prostate anyway?
Well, I'm not really worried. I just realise that the older that you get, the more important it is to get examined.
Yes, that's true. Well done. You're being responsible, KG.
Well, now that I know that the doctors have gone digital, Graham, there's no excuse not to go.
No, that's right.
If you just keep putting it off, Studley, that does no good at all.
Correct.
Fair dinkum. For all the good that does, Studley, you may as well stick his finger up my bum.
Do not try that with a digital radio.
No. KG's got a surprise in store, it sounds like. Leon Minus coming up after 9 o'clock. We're out of time, and we'll catch you tomorrow morning from 6.
The new BT50 ute is finally here